Um, this meeting is being live streamed. So now, as people, since there's no participants,
Yeah.
I'm going to go over to YouTube.
Okay.
See if I can't. Oh, wow. We are live and we are on.
Let's see. I'll go and share the link if I can find it too.
Yeah, no kidding. So here we are. I'm going to top chat. All messages visible. All right, I'm going to zoom. I'm going to make this big for a second.
Okay. We are trying. Oh, you did really. Wait, what's up? We are trying.
If I can't. Yeah. So smash that like button. So the YouTube algorithm doesn't care. They make it up.
Yeah. I think so.
Oh boy. So this is great for the sake of everyone. Yes, we are live. Thank you for participating. We are trying to work exactly out. Share. Here we go. Are you sharing it also?
I am. Yeah. I'm in the process of doing.
I guess I'm going to do that on my phone. For everyone who's joining, yes, thanks for watching us professionally get out our first episode. For all the stuff we've both done professionally, I feel like starting the most unprofessionally is the right thing to do.
I think so. It works well for us. It's a good look on us.
I'm just shining.
There we go.
Okay, I am going to share this while we're all chatting. We'll get to the welcome everyone thing shortly. Let's see here. Barbara Charlton would like this, I know. And I know there are some friends in Minnesota that are looking for this. And I don't know about you, but I will send a couple more and I will be totally focused.
Okay. I put it on Twitter. I'll put it on YouTube or Facebook as well. Everyone here, share it out for us. There were some technical difficulties.
Shockingly, I had worked it all out prior to this. And for as many people who don't know, I spent a number of years as a network consultant, a Cisco certified network administrator, a Microsoft certified systems engineer, an MCP, and a network admin troubleshooting for global services and R&D for a couple different software companies. So it's not like I don't know how to do computers and haven't had a long history with them, including, to date myself further, I was part of the crowd that was doing we didn't know what to teach anyone when we were in elementary school. It was let's teach everyone basic. So I learned how to program. And then
that's cool.
Yeah, except I didn't turn into Elon Musk or Netscape or Google. So
yeah.
I'm not hating on it.
Well, it's okay. You got it pretty good.
So I will send, I guess, a couple more. And I think we're officially, good. This is so funny. Obviously we're looking for participation. Thank you. Well, hey, Kelly. All right. Squids won. Yeah, I am so sorry, guys. So we'll have a fancy opener eventually. I have a fancy opener. Do you want to see it?
Yes.
You've never seen this, have you?
I haven't. No.
Let's see if we can play it.
Okay.
Let's go. All right. So we have an awesome bumper. This was done by tell me what you can see. Oh, no, that's not us. We don't need that. We don't need Photoshop right now. So yeah, nothing like making sure this all works the day before.
It's all good.
Actually, for everyone who's joining us, I'm actually having a lot of fun with the idea of going at this casually, because I feel like you and I have talked. I feel like this has been a long time coming anyway. And for some reason, like going on Game Face, I didn't want to do it. I don't know. It just seemed like it would be easier to do. Okay. So here we go. I am going to share screen.
Okay.
What do we got? Boy, it's gonna make me load it first. Okay. So yep, we're gonna have to pause it.
Okay.
All right. I will now get in there. Oh, the process to do a bumper, everyone. I, honest to God, have never clicked on a gaming hub and it just decided to go right here and now.
Took you to a gaming hub?
There's a button for a gaming hub. I have a new computer, everyone. So here we go. Ready? Let's see if we get, let me know if there's volume. I mean, we better have, I hope there's volume. Is there volume?
I don't hear anything.
Just not gonna, we're just not gonna get, oh my God, I'm just crushing it today. What was, you know what this is? This is a stress test for everyone to see how much can we tolerate. That's, you know what? It might not let me share audio while we're in Zoom.
Oh,
that's what it is. But you know, visually speaking,
it's beautiful.
It's better if wow, bang, technology, balls, all sorts of Saxe Woman stuff, polygonal masonry, no aliens, just large unexplored technologies, human behaviors. What? They built giant things. It's everywhere. It's in black and white. When did the world go color? Your turn. Freestyle.
What? No, I can't. I'm terrible. You found my weakness.
We smash it with discovering our lost histories. And as you heard her, terrible. Nice. So that being done, I'm gonna go back to YouTube, watch what's going on. All right. Lazarus Projects, David Martin. Let's go back, say hi to everybody. We have a lot of people joining us. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, we are stalling. Actually, I'm stalling. Lynn is just going with this because I'm the one who's apparently completely in his bucket list of things to do. Start the podcast with no planning.
Beautiful. That's how I start most things. So it's fine.
Isn't it? So thanks everyone for joining us. We're going to be doing this all the time. Oh, wait. Did we just commit to that?
Yes. Now you're stuck with me.
Excellent.
You're welcome.
So independently, we've both been doing shows and we've been doing them on our own channels. We guest, we host, and for a long time, we thought it'd be a lot more fun if we were doing something together.
Yes. Clearly it is.
So as far as planning goes, there isn't just megalithic history. That bumper is really cool though. And especially when there's sound. I
have actually seen it on one of your other shows.
Yes, that's true. I had it made.
Like fangirl.
Well, so she has the poster just off screen.
It's true. Jared's actually right there on my wall.
Yeah. Outside of her incredible artwork, my bumper.
It's there.
And now it's going to be our bumper. Yay. So no possessives. Coming to you live, zooming from the commune. Here we are. Hello, Dale from Wales. Nice. And Kelly, so there, just for everyone watching on YouTube, there is a delay, of course. So we're chatting with you, but we are not exactly timed out perfectly. So you'll have to forgive us if we don't respond. The point of doing a live show, of course, is to interact. And of course, we're going to do our normal informative thing, but at the same time, this is a chance for everyone to actually participate and stay more up to the minute. You know, we have projects we're doing. We each independently have, I mean, I'm not going to out you for any shows you're going to, but for instance, I mean, there's all sorts of fun things coming up, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you see where I'm going with this. Is there
Yes.
anything else you would like to reveal to the general audience that's joining us now?
As to what's to come in the future, I say we let things just be a surprise. Let's just live in the moment, Jared. You can do this.
One of the things that, yeah, I completely believe that one of the things that drew us together was your inability to commit.
Yes.
And I'm right there with that. That's so here we are.
Yeah.
The idea will be to, of course, go over new research, go over up and coming documentaries and work that's going to be out. A lot of people have been wondering what I've been up to. And I've mentioned I kind of went not radio silent, but I've been co-hosting on everything imaginable. Dark Hour Paranormal. I've been guesting on some shows like your new show. How long have you been at this now for the new one?
For the new one, not even 3 months. Can you imagine?
Given that you work like a dog, that's basically like what, 2 years?
I know. Right, yeah. And I hit 500 subscribers. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think that's going to rock it. No problem.
That's awesome. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I mean, you went from, I think it's not like you're new to doing this altogether anyway.
No, we could say pretty much most of the people in the chat already know I used to be on Spaced Out Radio. Yeah, I was the weekend host on Spaced Out Radio.
Yep. And I used to be there guesting with you. And then before that, Michael and I used to do a UFO thing once a month. Michael Hall.
Yeah.
Who is somewhere in time. Yes, that's an Art Bell shout out. But
I'm just looking at Enzo saying that I'm really letting you just kick in the wind here. I'm sitting back, enjoying the moment.
This is really fun. It's like everyone's showing up for that general party conversation. It's just early enough. I'm looking forward to like digging into a few things tonight. The reality is it's just really exciting to finally get a show going where we get to do what we want together.
Yeah. Kelly Lewis, only 500. It hasn't even been 3 months yet. Give me some time.
Yeah. It's a lot harder when you're just trying to talk about stuff along with, LOL, Insta, Snap, Book Chat. There's a different focus if you're not smashing your face in ice cream.
That is true. Yes, it is a lot harder. It's a very niche. My daughter puts it this way, if you ever want to put your ego in check, have a teenager. She'll say, like, she's seen me like go in chats and like on my like other friends, granted they're friends now, but like other friends' podcasts, and they're just like, oh my God, Lynn's here. She's just like, why do they even know you? She goes, you're like a micro niche celebrity. I was just like,
First off, congratulations that there's a celebrity spectrum or tier system. And I feel like you've been pushed up on that ledge. So yeah, good for her. Mine is a bit older and appears to be, I don't know, going on 40. Very smart girl. But yes, I can completely appreciate being, not the cool one in the room anymore. For everyone watching, that's not true. That's us. That's everyone listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we really are the cool ones in the room. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we're all here. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
I mean, what's network television?
Right? Nothing.
Not a thing. I mean, irrelevant to subscriber base. People are listening. People are watching. Have you had a favorite episode so far?
Of my own?
Yeah.
Always the ones with you, Jared, is always my favorite. It is. Actually, no, I do love talking to you. We always have a fun time together. Yeah, no, they're all fun. I really enjoy, I didn't think I was going to like doing, so I do a morning show. For anybody who doesn't know, I do a morning show Monday through Friday. And I didn't know how I was going to feel because I just do it myself. It's just me talking. And sometimes I'll have the audience members, like I'll do like an open stream where they can come in and stuff. But for the most part, it's just me talking. And I didn't know, I started out like, I'll do like 20 minutes. Now I have to shut myself up at 2 hours. And
another thing.
Right. That's pretty much how it is. And then I'm like, no. Okay. I'm going to let you go. I'm gonna let you go because I'll keep talking. So that's been kind of fun just seeing that develop, how much I can actually talk. by myself.
um, some people need to get in so many steps in a day. You have to get in so many words.
True. But the funny thing is it's all on here. When I'm not on like YouTube, I'm like,
oh,
unless I'm texting you, like, look at this weird GIF that I have.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, most of the time I'm pretty quiet off of YouTube.
Well, and that's one of the things. So for everybody listening, we do have a lot of ideas and a lot of plans for moving forward. I think this is going to be really fun and entertaining. But part of it also is we are all coming across like news and information on the web that's sometimes it's interesting but it's unverifiable, and you could digress for hours. And we definitely have our show spots for doing that. But one of the things Lynn and I were talking about was having a show where we could dive into things that we find interesting, but together and with you simultaneously. So this will be progressive, and it will contain some topics that, we're all familiar with, whether it's aliens or ancient ruins or finds or archaeological work or things that just keep esoterically explaining the world. We're going to get to all of it, but we're going to revisit it, some of it, and not make it wasn't that nice. Well, stay tuned till next week, and we're going to be completely new. I think I just want to share some of the ideas we had coming to this point. So when you're sitting there and enjoying the ride, that's exactly what you should do. Yeah. Make a large pizza, mix a malt, eat your healthy vitamin mix smoothie, or not, or have a drink.
Mix some malt.
Yeah. I just want to give everyone permission, alcoholic or otherwise.
Oh, yes. Oh, that kind of malt. Yes. That I'm all for.
Yeah. Oh, have you ever done it with Bailey's or another Irish cream?
No, because I don't like coffee, remember? I know.
Fair enough. Okay. We could do more of a chartreuse thing for you then.
Okay.
Something more. Are you a gin fan?
I love gin. That was a little too like aggressive, but yes, I do enjoy gin. Yes.
That might be, I don't know. That seems loaded with a couple stories. Would you like to share?
I used to have, I don't know that you know this about me, Jared, but I had a channel with a friend of mine.
No.
Do I dare say the name? I showed an episode of it today on my morning show called Paranormal Spirits, where basically all we did was drink and tell each other paranormal stories. And so each episode, one person was telling the story, the other was reacting, and the person reacting had no idea what was coming up. And so we would film them like back to back, like 3 at a time. So by the third one, we were just like
a little drunk history.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people said that it reminded them of that, but you'll see the takes are all like this because we had to keep cutting it because we would forget and like, wait, hold on, and go back to the notes. Okay. Yeah. Like you get like a sentence or two out. So yes, I'm familiar with gin.
This is already a good idea generation. I mean, it's one thing for all of us to participate this way. We can also make this a tasting event. We can simultaneously run different brews and coffees and non-alcoholics there's always a good rooibos tea out there for someone. And then we could also go the gin whiskey / chartreuse. I'm not a gin fan, but I've always described, have you had chartreuse?
No, what is chartreuse?
Well, it's made by French monks. There's 5 of them, and only 2 are imported. And for us, silly Americans, we call it the green or the yellow. So it's 55% alcohol per volume. And I always describe it this way for you non-gin drinkers. I always put it this way: imagine if gin tasted good.
Gin tastes delicious on its own. Let's just start there.
So just chartreuse on the rocks it's like Christmas in your mouth.
Wow. So it's literally a chartreuse colored gin. Am I getting that correct?
But it's not. No, it's hundreds of secret herbs that have been mixed together and fermented by French monks for 400 plus years.
Wow. Well.
And you can get a bottle and you can put it in the freezer. It will not freeze. It'll barely even get a little thicker, mostly because there's 55% alcohol in it, and you will not notice it. So when you say by episode 3, or if we're going to discuss any sorts of ancient esoteric / UFO reverse engineered anything, it could be an interesting evening if we get going. If you could talk a lot, we already know this. We've done episodes. we can both talk alone for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone stay tuned. We could go a while.
I was going to say, it'll either be like a 6-hour episode or a 40-minute episode. It depends on what we're drinking and how well we're drinking it.
Ooh. This, you know, the focus of assorted other things that are actually going on for both of us. One was I had taken a break, by the way, for everyone, mostly because I'm wrapping up a new version of Not Aliens, Worse It's Us, Discovering Our Lost History. It has a slightly new title. It still says It's Not Aliens. And it's not that there's not aliens, but I have been working for months on a revision with almost 100 new pages. And so that took a lot of time. So between guesting on your epic shows and chatting off air, but the other priorities was to get out the documentary TerraCore for me, which is on YouTube. I know everyone's watching on YouTube, but it is on Not Aliens. And if you haven't watched it, check it out. That'd be great. The focus now is to work on a couple more documentaries, do some more live work. I've been in Texas for the last almost month now. I went to the Gault Archaeological site. You and I didn't have a chance to even kind of really touch on that, did we?
Just a little tiny bit. It sounds fascinating, though.
Yeah, it's one of the most important archaeological sites in America. It's not just America. It's more well known. The director of the site was pointing out that there are more archaeologists and people around the world that know about the Gault Archaeological site than here, which is depressing. And it's one of 19 mastodon kill sites. And it has actual tools around the young mastodon that they killed and they were carving up. So they were getting what they could before getting eaten by short-faced bears and assorted other things that can smell blood for 10 miles square. And the head and the tools were left in situ and they found it. And that's just one of so many special things about this site. They found a floor. This, in fact, the director and co-founder of the site found an actual stone floor that's, from his estimates, this site has been occupied for over 20,000 years. And that's just as far as they've gotten in methodical research. So and for anyone else, Clovis is out. Everyone knows this now. Clovis is the name assigned to just some imaginary people to just describe the, you know, people who came across the Bering Land Bridge and apparently built everything all the way into South America. And they were all called Clovis, but that's, as he put it, I thought this was a great analogy. It'd be like saying, well, there's people in Asia using iPhones and there's people in America using iPhones. They're completely different cultures. And it would be like describing them as the iPhone culture.
Gotcha.
You know, it's that where they're that different. But this site is the largest, in quotes, Clovis site known. And the stone floor, the mastodon, all that stuff was under Clovis. So that eliminates, for everyone out there listening, it eliminates the Clovis thing altogether. So the idea that the only people in North and South America came from a land bridge is just silly. But that was where I was 2 weeks ago. There was something called Float Fest. So some people like Sam Tripoli, I met some friends there. It was supposed to be a Bitcoin free United States, kind of looking at different groups of people that could come together. It was a network of people that didn't want to be indebted financially to a system. It's Float, FLOTE. It was the second year that it was on. And so went, checked it out. That was a couple of weekends ago, which brought us full circle. And I don't know, we talked about it off air. I think we should just throw it out on air because I'm not interested in programming this. But for everyone out there listening, there is, you know what I'm going to refer to, right?
I think so, but keep going.
I don't, well, when you put it like that, what are you thinking?
Keep going.
So
be brave. You can do it.
I just want to tell everyone that's listening. Yes. No, there is no app. There is no calendar for every UFO contact. And like there are famous things like Contact in the Desert or Conscious Life Expo. Those are big events. They stand out. But the reality is that there are a lot of conventions and events around the country, and there is no single app that shows it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single one. There's UFO cruises. There's all sorts of events around the country, and we have no way of knowing unless you find them independently or individually. Had a friend of a friend not be going to Float Fest, wouldn't have known anything about it. And I thought that was very interesting, that for all the things we've created apps for that we don't need apps for, including I got to learn at the Gault Archaeological site. It took me going to the Gault Archaeological site to learn that there is LiDAR in your iPhone 12, which I do not have. I have an Android. So
I have an iPhone 13. Does that mean I have LiDAR in it? Or is it only 12?
Well, apparently you can hack it.
Really?
Right. So if you want to do LiDAR in your backyard, I kind of feel like we got something going. I mean, if they're going to hand you archaeological useful tools, we may not be in the jungles of Guatemala or flying over, some other heavily densely forested area and trying to do light detection to find an ancient ruin or city. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that we are getting really close to having handheld technology that there isn't an archaeologist that wouldn't have, it would have been absolute witchcraft 100 years ago. It just, the availability of it in the palm of your hand. So I haven't had a chance to look into it. So everyone who's armchairing this, you want to write down that you now have LiDAR hackable abilities on your iPhone / Android. You might want to look into that.
Wow.
I think that's worthy news right now.
I think so too. That's exciting. I'm going to look into it because, I'm going to Utah soon and I'm going out by the petroglyphs. Maybe there's something under there. I don't know.
Which I had no idea. I'm assuming
Dinosaur National Monument. I'm going out there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So there are, my feed hasn't scrolled, by the way. So I'm looking at Enzo still saying, "You're alive." I feel like it's a current reminder. I'm going to scroll down, everyone.
Yeah, maybe. Michigan UFO sightings and paranormal encounters. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, Lazarus Project.
Yes.
And Michigan. Yep. Hi, guy. Well, yeah. So I was just on that show recently. Oh my gosh. And here we go. Leak Project. Nice. Hey, Rex.
Oh, nice. Just got back from the Utah petroglyphs, the same ones that I'm going to be going to, because I think they have some in southern Utah too, right?
Yeah.
My spirit animal.
And I just want to know, Rex, did you wear your mask? And you know which mask? He has a thing about the Martians, Mars attacks. He's got one of those. Right now? He's got one of those ack masks. I got pictures of him at the Grand Canyon. Rex and I from Leak Project did go to the Grand Canyon. Okay, on list of things that have not been put out.
Yeah.
The documentary from our trip on Navajo land to the edge of the Grand Canyon to exactly where the G.E. Kincaid Cave is. Rex and I from Leak Project and one of his good friends who's Navajo, we went out to exactly where the G.E. Kincaid Cave was supposed to be. And we filmed it extensively, and we have a lot of work from that. And Rex, of course, has put a lot of stuff on Leak Project. And you should definitely go over to Rex's channel and check that out on Leak Project. But I have not. I took 9,000 photos.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I took as many photos in 4 days and video as I did when I was in South Africa for a month doing research.
Oh my God. Well, you were only there for a limited amount of time. So, right. You're just like, click. I would do the same. Maybe. Well, not. I totally wouldn't, but I would say I would.
Yeah. So those petroglyphs that you might see, it was funny. I was describing one. Rex has video of me. I'm literally standing over one and I didn't see it.
Oh, really?
Or he was standing over. Well, we were standing there and I'm saying, yeah, there's peckings in the stone and they've worked some things out. And I just looked down and went like that. And it was like, right. We had literally walked right over it. And it was a sundial. It was burst out and it was really old. It was really neat. That was something that I'm hoping to put that together for everyone listening. So there's a couple things. There's a sequel to TerraCore. There is work on the Kincaid. Yeah, I still think it's worth watching. There's so many interesting things about the Grand Canyon. So that'll evolve. And at this point, with you drinking gin and apparently maybe some chartreuse, we could probably get somewhere after your trip, which you're leaving when?
Next Thursday. So I'll be gone for a week. It'll be like Thursday to Thursday, basically. And
you will be broadcasting from there. Are you?
I will be now because you offered it up to everyone. I was planning on doing some, not like the morning show, but yeah, we'll be doing some. There's going to be me and Alien Girl 111. She's going to be there too, Amy. And then Akashi Chris, who now is like fangirling over you. She loves you, as I knew she would. She has a channel, Mind Forked, so we're all going to be there. So we're going to figure out like how we're going to.
Well, there is the Zorg. Sorry, I couldn't remember Rex. I knew it was Zorg, but yes, I have all the files and we haven't caught up in a while, so that's going to happen. But I am actually joining Freeman for a conference at the beginning of June, which I will talk to everyone about while I'm at the conference. I don't think it's being advertised, so that's why I'm not going to talk about it on air. But there is some so we won't bring it up where I'm going, but the first week of June, I will have some very crazy and interesting experiences for everyone to share. So you and I are going to do this again for everyone, and before her busy trip next week. So just so you know, this will be a regular show. Yeah. Just a reminder for anyone who's just joining in, we will be bringing not only content and news, but up to the minute. And of course, we're here to talk to you guys.
Mm-hmm. And charming personalities to boot.
You heard her. She's sober.
I am, actually.
See how
so you
honest
can only
that
imagine
is?
How that other channel was.
It's genuine when she can say it like that.
That's true. That's true.
Do the alphabet backwards.
ZYXW. I can't.
I can't do it either.
I can't.
Like
I could if I did it slow, probably.
No. So you're going out. Are you getting a guide, or are you just going out? Are there some places you're going in particular to look at any particular petroglyphs or peckings, or is there anything you're going to see specifically?
Well, we I don't know if I told you this or not. So you know that I'm engaged, right? Well, we're actually getting married in front of the petroglyphs. So there is a set of petroglyphs. It's going to be very, very small. There is, now I can't think of the name there because there's a couple different spots at Dinosaur National Monument where they have like different petroglyphs that you can go and look at. So I'm doing the one that has the least amount of hiking from the parking lot in order to get married in front of, because I just want to get married in front of petroglyphs because I mean, who wouldn't? It's amazing. But why Utah? Because there is the Vernal Utah UFO Disclosure Symposium. So I'm going to that as well over the weekend. And then we're going to go to Dinosaur National Monument after that. But I also lived in Utah too. So I love Utah. I think it's amazing.
Who doesn't want to get married in front of petroglyphs?
Right? I know. It doesn't sound weird to me, but
no, and apparently not your future, apparently perfect husband who should also know it's cool.
He's very mellow because this is not like his thing. He's a musician. He's also like, he has his degree in economics. He likes to talk politics. It's not his thing, but he's open to it. He likes talking about it. He likes the political side of ufology, which there definitely very much is.
Well, then he's going to have to spend some more time talking to Rex.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to cover all of it into that gamut, you really should talk to Leak Project. And by the way, totally spontaneous, everyone. I did not tell Rex specifically to show up. So I miss him. He's a great buddy of mine. Yeah. I'm so happy he's here with us on this chat. But seriously, if you want to check out like up to the minute of what's going on definitely on the very bold, no hold back, screw everyone, I'm going to say what I want. Leak Project is perfect for that.
It's like my morning show, Leak Project. You and I, Rex is his name. We're going to be best friends. We're going to be best friends. Yes. I got on, I don't know if you know this, Jared. I got on, you may not know this because you're above it. But there was a big Felon 55 Lou Haters Con Squad.
No.
Like poster thing that somebody made up. I got on there. Yes, I did.
What?
Technically, it's a picture of my dog.
Oh.
But it says Lynn Wallington right under it. So.
Oh. But yeah, what else haven't you disclosed recently?
Right. No, I talk about all, like, I went on a big tirade about free speech and censorship yesterday on my morning show. That was pretty much what I talked about. Well, my morning show is called Coffee and Conspiracies. So I love a good conspiracy theory. So, you know.
Well, okay. So for everyone listening, and people are going to love this for conspiracy's sake, for as much, before I knew, I just still liked dinosaurs. I still liked Indiana Jones. And I remember learning about the Kennedy assassination. And you know, as a young person, it was like something about it did seem really tragic. And what's so interesting is as you learn more and know more about what's really going on in the world, there's different reasons to be like angry or sad about the Kennedy assassination, depending on what you know and where you're at. So I got to tell you the punchline. I'm a big cider fan because I can't drink beer. I also like whiskey and scotch, but
I hate beer and love cider. See, this is why we get along.
This is one more reason.
We didn't even know. Yeah.
It's not just about finding out the unknown. It's about what we drink, folks.
Yeah. This is important in life.
It's a wonderful day in your liquor cabinet. And what do you drink, folks? Okay. I am driving. I have friends in town. We're doing some other work here collectively. And I'm driving into Deep Ellum, which is a borough within Dallas. It is an artsy, hipster. It just has a lot of cool restaurants, bars, breweries. It has distillery. It has a little bit of everything. And I'm staying not near the city, about 30 minutes away. So we're driving in, and my friend points out, yeah, that's where Kennedy got shot. Like I do feel like Google owes some observational information when you're doing maps. I'm following the map in, and I had done it 3 more times earlier, and I had no idea. I mean, this exit is literally the route.
Wow. Yeah, think they'd be like, and by the way,
right
where you are.
So
nothing.
So it's so funny. For everything I knew about it, I can't believe I drove by it 4 times. And here I am driving by, there's the grassy knoll, and it's surprisingly very underwhelming.
Yeah. I hate it when things are like that.
Everything is really small. It's kind of like going to the Louvre. I feel like a lot of people are going to Paris lately, and I've been there, and I've seen the Mona Lisa, and everyone, I don't know. Have you been there?
No. And I would love to. I have my minor in art history. I would love to go there.
Do you know how big the Mona Lisa actually is?
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah,
right?
with frame, it's really tiny.
Yeah.
It's not big at all. And there is about 27 languages on the wall that says, please no flash photography. So I don't believe for a second that we're looking at the real Mona Lisa, because, well, it would be a crispy, charred, phosphorus burnt picture. So no one listens. There's like the human crowd around it look like paparazzi, and they're all holding up their cameras and they're all flashing.
Oh my God.
And that's what it was like before. But it's been for whatever reason, the Louvre has been coming up over and over and over. But there are things that I only brought up the Mona Lisa because I feel like, oh wow, it's not at all. I did not expect it to be so small. I thought it was going to be this huge thing. And for everything I've ever watched about the JFK assassination, because I can bring the Louvre and the JFK assassination together in this moment.
Okay.
Really small. Like the whole, the whole, what you see, it looks like this huge, vast drive area. It isn't. It's really small. It's just the way they film it, I think I don't think it should be that deceptive. I think what's very interesting about the space is, despite the movies and everything else, they make it seem like the distances are really big. And when you're there, and I'm driving by it on my way to Deep Ellum,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not like you can see it quickly, but no, I did not expect to be able to report to you that I have now extensively seen the JFK assassination area and the grassy knoll. I mean, it's all really tight. A lot of weird stuff could have happened in that location. When you actually get there and look at it, it's a tight box if you were looking for cross shooting or anything else. So for all of you out there doing conspiracies, it is a oddly confining, I don't know. It is kind of it is a very small shooter box, I think.
But I could see how that might make it difficult too, because I'm sure there were a lot of people at the time, because it was president coming by, right? And I don't know what it's like, but is there an echoing issue that maybe, made it difficult to tell where exactly things were coming from? I don't know. It's fascinating.
It is.
Here's my weird, like, this is the difference between you and I, is I went on a ghost tour one time in New Orleans, and they were talking about how they went ghost hunting in that area and got an EVP that talked about the Kennedy assassination and who did it.
Oh,
that's my contribution. Yeah.
That's, if you're going to work it out, I guess that's the right way to do it.
You never know. I mean,
this is a show that's open to many things. And if you think it's going to slow down, stay tuned, folks. It will continue to go on this landslide up.
That's right. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
There's no gravity in esoteric physics, man.
Why does there always have to be gravity? Why can't you just free float for a little while, Jared?
Yeah, stop being such a downer.
Expand your mind, dude.
Yeah.
But I like dinosaurs too. That's I think one of the first things we bought. I have a dinosaur tattoo.
You do?
Yeah, actually, there's 3 of them. There's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a Triceratops, and a Brachiosaurus. It's in a very weird spot on my arm, so it's hard to show. But
I kind of see how that's why you and an economics major would connect.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. He actually did buy me my ring that I call my apocalyptic ring. It's not my engagement ring, but I call it my apocalyptic ring because it has crushed up opal just to make it look pretty, but it has Triceratops bones and meteorite shavings in it.
Oh, that's really neat.
It is really cool, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
So he gets me.
All right. So the what's interesting also, not to drop back on that Gault Archaeological site, I did want to do some more specific, maybe more of a coherent show on it, but you did remind me that they were also finding that the Mastodon kill site at Galt, which is a few minutes north of Austin, I didn't specify that for everyone listening, they were finding that a number of species of different creatures, and this is what's the difference between us having a dialogue about it and having some more up-to-date news. There are species of what they thought was 40, 50, 60,000 year old extinct creatures they're finding around the world in 4,000 to 7,000 year old layers. So there are not just 1 or 2, there's a number of creatures. Like right now, everyone thinks that there's a possibility of that little hobbit type person being alive. It's kind of the same thing where we're rewriting our history as we speak. And I think it's going to get to the point where it should almost be headline news as we roll with the discoveries. I mean, we have Dragon Man / Peking Man / 2 more different men in Israel. And again, we don't have a complete paleoanthropological record. We don't have a complete, that it always blows my mind. Like, I will not continue. You want rants? I'm going to do one quick right now.
Please.
Okay, great. Thanks for that invite. I will not get off that soapbox I was going to stay on.
I'm here for you.
That's why we connect, everyone. One more time. This will be one of our show-stopping bumpers right here, where when we have some great affiliates like Ascent Nutrition's logos and links below, we'll actually ask you to support our channel. Until then, okay, here's the soapbox. Really?
You can do it.
Can I? Yeah. The Georgia Guidestones bug me.
Oh, I love them. Okay. Why do they bug you?
Oh, they bug me to no end. The
Yeah.
hubris it takes to go, yeah, I'm one of the only people with a copy of the Earth's original plan. It says 8 billion bison, 4 trillion mosquitoes. And if we ever overpopulate the planet again, it's like, what do you know? You
Well,
don't even know
clearly.
what's alive. We
Right.
we discover Michael Cremo writes about it in Forbidden Archaeology. We have for the last 40 years been discovering 3,000 to 4,000 creatures a year that we did not know were on the planet. And then we find things that, I mean, it was a year ago-ish that somebody noticed what they thought was a seal, and it turns out a giant, what they thought dead otter was alive in South America. So, it blows my mind that someone has the hubris to put up a bunch of stones and say, well, there's too many people and there's too much of this and we should do that. And it's like, well, let's see. Let's start with the expiration date of the planet. Whatever you do with it, our sun's about to eat us. If you think galactically, a few billion years is a short amount of time,
Right.
There will be no planet eventually.
True.
And I'm just imagining a Jurassic on your dinosaur shout out. I'm just imagining a pteranodon flying down for a news report, looking behind going, this beautiful lava flow that's been here for a billion years is being eaten up by this new thing called soil. Stop the encroachment. The beautiful swamp of Midwest America is drying up. Where will we fly?
Yeah. They needed the Jurassic Guidestones. Didn't have them, but now we have the Georgia ones.
Oh, touche. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
If they had only thought, if those rock banging Neanderthals had just put up some Guidestones, maybe Mother Earth would have stopped, I don't know, de-swamping. Right. And the Ring of Fire could have stayed a little more active. We could have been a little more Jurassic.
It could have been. Maybe
there just could have been better firefighting Brontosaurus. I mean, like T-Rexing, eating out. I don't know how many redwoods and sequoias had to go down.
I don't know.
All right.
Maybe T-Rex was like, you know what? Maybe I need to start including more like vegetables in my diet. That might be a good thing for the future of the planet. You never know where it could have gone, right? Maybe T-Rex would have become a vegan and would have been spouting like vegan philosophy. You never know.
I personally believe that, Susan Simard, who I can finally apologize, of the British Vancouver area university's system, is the professor that's been studying that plants actually have low vibrational communications and frequencies.
Yes.
Way outside of the human ear. But the point is, she's establishing that plants do scream / communicate. And there's solid evidence that for all of you out there who think you're not eating something that's, I mean, at least the meat is dead, right? I just want you to know that your salad might still be screaming when you eat it.
It's pleasant,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And here's the irony. I've never really liked meat, and I think it's my mother's fault. I was born in Germany, and the Germans have things that they've been putting for ever since they destroyed the Romans. They've been putting things in butcher shops even the Germans think are gross. And yep. And my mom, during her pregnancy with me, decided she liked a lot of it. Oh, and imagine everything, people, eyeballs, whatever they were doing to it. My mom was bringing home some stuff. And all I can tell you is, as soon as I could verbalize as a young boy at like 4, I did not like the texture. I did not like beef, for instance. I make bone soup. So I will do the marrow thing. I understand the radiological tracings and the complexities of proteins within bone marrow. It helps with ligament damage, cartilage damage, muscle damage. It's very healthy for you. Bone soup can keep you healthy. I'm assuming, I don't know, are you into bone soup?
No, I do eat meat now, but I was a vegetarian / vegan for 10 years. So this is very gross to me, but keep going.
I find, again, you were one of those plant screaming, killing, eating.
I was. I eat meat now. But once I ate meat, let me tell you, I went back and I was just like, cheeseburger, Big Mac, lived off a barbecue for about 3 months, just straight pulled pork and brisket. I didn't mess around.
Impossible to miss anywhere here in Texas.
So good.
Yes.
So
But I think I'm just blaming it on in utero, my baby development, my whatever my reptilian origins were, rejected meat very shortly after birth, and just don't eat a ton of it. Yeah. It wasn't an intent. It's not because I won't wear them or drink them or pet them. I'm just
not a fan.
Nope, wasn't a huge fan. But the dinosaur, somehow we digress off dinosaurs. My point is we don't have a complete paleoanthropological record.
Yes.
There's even TED Talks with Jack Horner from one of the greatest, dinosaur hunters ever. And they have found that there were a lot of teenage and growing dinosaurs that we thought were different species that were all really just baby, tween, teen, young adult dinosaurs that were really all just the one kind of dinosaur, but they independently named them. And I mean, there are some mistakes and things like that go on, but the idea of denying you're an omnivore, denying that, you have incisors, you can choose to not eat, your fellow Ice Age Part 7 co-companion, but that's not how it would have happened.
Yeah.
Ice Age, the movie, would have looked a lot less G-rated if all those animals were doing what their instincts had. I'm always fascinated by that. It's like everyone in this foraging crew should be eating the other half of the foraging crew.
Yes, that is true.
You should all be dead. But so 1 week, you're getting married. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
And what's the goal? Is it the potluck under the petroglyphs, or is it...
No, you see, okay, here's the thing. And I told you this, I think, which is like, I'm the worst. I'm more like a guy when it comes to this stuff, because this is why I love anyone who knows Akashi Chris. And I know a lot of you guys know her who are here in the chat, because, hey, everybody, I see you. But so thank God for Akashi Chris, because she just like took me under her wing and she was just like, we're going to make this special for you. What do you want? And I was like, I don't really care. I mean, I'll get married in the parking lot. Whatever we want to do is totally fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
And like legit, I'd be totally fine with that. She's going to marry us. So I was just like, hey, like, you can be our officiant if you're cool with that. And she was just like, oh my gosh, oh my God. She's very, I love her so much, like so much. She's very dramatic. She has a flair for the drama. And so she's like, no, we're gonna make this so special. Where do you want? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, well, the one place I really want to go is Dinosaur National Monument, because again, dinosaurs, right? Yeah. And so then I saw they had petroglyphs and I was like, oh, that'd be cool. Like, well, maybe we could just like go and like go get married by the petroglyphs and then call it a day. That's what I want. That's all I want. So that's exactly what we're doing. In the morning, we're gonna go over to the petroglyphs, have the ceremony, voila. Done.
And then it's back to the gym or back to the when's the conference doesn't overlap with you being married?
No, we're doing it afterwards. So the conference finishes on Sunday. We're getting married on Monday.
Okay.
We're gonna fit it in between the 7th and the 8th session on Saturday. No, we're doing it Monday morning.
Okay, so that means that right now, for everyone listening, this is a eyewitness account. If she is not abducted before the conference ends,
that is true.
You will be married.
That is true. I will. Yeah. In 2 weeks, 2 weeks from now. Yeah. Cause would have been 2 weeks from Monday. So
this is good that you're getting the conference in as a test run, because he knows there's going to be more conferences, right?
So here's the thing. Oh yeah, he knows. He's very well aware. He knows. But I'm like the kind of person that like, and luckily he's open to it all. Because I'm like the kind of person, like several years back, before I got divorced with my ex-husband, and he just like was not a traveler. It wasn't his thing, right? And I was kind of like, well, I think I'm gonna go to India this summer. And he was just kind of like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go to India. So I went to India by myself. So Dave, who I'm going to marry, my fiance, has known me since I was a teenager. So he knows me very, very well. So he's not surprised by any of this. And luckily he's game. to do it. It's not like necessarily his thing, but he'll come along for the ride. He enjoys it. So plus you haven't heard my experiencer stories yet.
Oh, we were talking about this, folks. We are now in a warmed up window. Yes, please go ahead. Let's hear it.
All of it? There's a lot. There's so much. Well, anyways, what I was going to say is he knows them and he's still with me. So that's amazing. But yes, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
You're bragging that you're with someone insane. Cool.
No,
okay.
Yeah, he's just like, he's sane and like willing to put up with my craziness. So,
yeah, that's how the meme goes, I think.
It's true. It's true in this case. So, okay. I don't know. Do you really want my experiences right now? I mean,
no, let's start. Well, let's start with the first one.
Okay.
Ooh, is the first one the most important or the one you would have started with?
It's a storyline. Let me put it that way. It's
Once upon a time.
A lifelong thing. So I initially, when I was young, I had lots of weird, what I would consider paranormal experiences. I didn't realize, because I was never into like UFOs and aliens. I always just kind of like assumed they existed, but wasn't like, I liked sci-fi stuff, but it just wasn't my thing. Right. Kelly likes listening to my experiencer stories. Oh my gosh. Okay. They're crazy. I'll warn anyone who hasn't heard them. I recognize they sound absolutely crazy. So also keep in mind, my dad was in the military. So I grew up on military bases. Now, I'm trying to find the condensed version because it can take a good hour to tell all of my experiences.
No, we're really good at this. Don't reveal that. We aren't going to talk that long. Just everyone's going to like this show. We're not going to ruin it with like time limits or like, blah, 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 non-hippie. We're not drunk stuff. Let's just go with where you want to start.
Okay.
You are better. Here's the deal. Once you start the Ferrari, let it go on the track.
I love this metaphor of me. Okay. So
that's why we get the uncondensed version, folks.
Yeah, right. So my experiences, though I didn't realize it at the time, start out with MKUltra type mind programming. This is where people think I'm crazy. But this happens to a lot of people that are military kids that have grown up on military bases, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of the people that are involved with mind control programming are military kids. So my experiences are, and I won't get into all of the details because there's a lot of details, like I said, but I later put two and two together that this was happening. But my first conscious experiences or recollections, I had a memory come back to me in my 20s of going to a school on the military base when I was a kid, like elementary school age. I remember being picked up by this white van, being taken to this building. I could describe the building exactly to you, what it looked like. Very stereotypical military base building. But anyways, and so I called my stepmom because I grew up with my dad and my stepmom. And I was just kind of like, what was that school I went to on the base? Because I could remember all of my elementary schools, right? Because we moved around a lot being in the military, but I could remember them all and none of them were on a base. And so this was really weird to me. And I was just like, what was that? And she goes, what are you talking about? You never went to school on a military base. I was like, yeah, no, I did. I remember being picked up. I remember going, there was a school, but I just can't remember why I went there or what it was. Was it like an after school thing? She's like, no, you never went to school on a military base. And at that time, like I said, I wasn't into any of this. And I was just kind of like, well, that's weird, but okay. And I knew that I remembered it. And I knew I was like, well, maybe she's just forgetting this, right?
Oh, no, she got paid. Keep going.
No, she totally did. You're absolutely right. So anyways, so then when I was in my 30s, I got into the New Age community,
which is very recent for everyone listening. Sorry to interrupt.
Very recent. This was yesterday. So, yes, I got into the New Age community. So there was a lot of meditation going on, a lot of crystals, a lot of like,
a lot of people wet their bed into their older years. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. I can speak New Age now. I translate. It's fine. So anyways,
yes, we're having fun with this, but we're taking it seriously, everyone, too. It's absolutely. Like both issues.
Yes, it's very hard for me to remain serious all the time. But anyways, so I am
probably the experiments.
Probably. There is a lack of emotions that is involved in some of this. No, actually, seriously, that is a type of programming that I have had, which is I don't have a lot of emotions. You'll find this. I blurt things out that should be something that like someone with a normal emotional state would be like, maybe I shouldn't say this. Like I had an experiencer who I love, Sev Talk. I don't know if you've ever met her, but she's like the sweetest human being in the world. And she was telling me about this horrible memory that she had that was a dream, but she wasn't sure if it was an experience. And they were killing all these grays in front of her, trying to get her to talk. And then she's like, but I'm hoping that I think that maybe they weren't like real grays, that maybe it was either like a hologram or like they were like something else. And I was like, it was probably a hologram. And she was just like, do you think so? I was like, yeah, that would be way too messy to clean up. And like, then I was like, oh, Jesus, I'm so sorry. Like, that's probably not the nicest thing to say to someone who is just blurting out this very like painful experience where I'm just like, oh yeah, that'd be a mess. They wouldn't do that. Anyways, I digress.
And now who's getting married under petroglyphs?
Oh my God. Yeah. So anyways, so then in my 30s, I decided I'm going to, after a meditation, I decided that I had this revelation that I should become a Reiki practitioner. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll check it out. Whatevs. I didn't really know much about Reiki, but let's look into it. Why not? Why not? Right. So I did it. And so when you go to become a Reiki practitioner, you have to get what's called an attunement. And so basically a Reiki master kind of has to do some stuff and they open you up to receive kind of this flow of energy so that you can channel the universal energy through you to heal someone. Right. And so we had the attunements. There were like 6 of us, I think. We had the attunements and then we had to go in a room and practice inside voice. Am I screaming, Claude? I'm so sorry.
No.
Okay. No. So then we had to go in the room and practice on each other. And as I was working on this girl, I look up and in the corner, there's this weird like light being that I could see like consciously. And I was just kind of like, okay, that's weird. I couldn't see the being. I could see the light emanating out from it. And then it was like humanoid silhouette in the center. I could see right through that. But I could see the shape and then the light was coming out from the shape itself. I know that doesn't make much sense, but just trust me, it was a humanoid shape. And I was just kind of like, what is that? And so I said to my instructor, because I didn't want to like, 1, sound crazy and 2, like distract anyone else because they're all practicing and trying to be very serious and all this stuff. And I'm like, what the? So I said to my teacher, she came by and I was like, what is that over there in the corner? Do you see that? Or am I just losing my mind? And she was just like, well, what are you seeing? And so I told her, I explained it to her and she goes, oh yeah, no, I don't see it, but I'm not surprised. And she just walked on and I was like, okay, well, she's going to be normal about it. So am I. Like, so I just sat there and looked at it. And after a few minutes, it just kind of went away. And I was like, well, that was really weird. Again, still don't know what that is. Right. And then this is where we start to get into the weird ET stuff. A couple years later, I had what was like a very real dream, like so real. I woke up and expected to see them standing right there. It felt that real. And it was just a screenshot. All I remember is a screenshot of a really tall mantis being and 2 little grays. And keep in mind, I was not involved in the UFO community at all in this point. Like
you weren't, okay. So wait, you weren't watching shows, you weren't listening to people, you're just your normal average taking no pill Neo, you're just in the Matrix.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, slightly outside, I guess, if you could say like new age community, but it's
Would
not.
Would you say
like,
around the outside?
What's that?
Would you say around the outside? No, just
maybe.
Right.
No. Okay. So
Eminem in there.
So no, I didn't. I mean, I hadn't even watched Ancient Aliens, nothing. I wasn't like, there was just no interest in any of it. Just hadn't caught my attention yet. And so after that, I was like, this is kind of weird. Like, what was that? And it felt way too real to just be like, just kind of this weird ethereal dream state. I was like, it was very vivid and very real. And I was like, okay, what is that? And so that's when I started like looking, and I called up, and there was an organization. They work on consciousness now, but it was the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. I found them. AKA free. And I called and I ended up speaking to Ray Hernandez, who was one of the co-founders, and told him what was going on. And then we started talking, and he found out I had my background in psychology, which, yes, I know is frightening to most people when they find that out. But I used to be a therapist, and so I'd worked with people, but I'd never never knew anything about like the whole experiencer field or anything. But he told me, he was like, hey, you know, we're trying to get a support group or a support program in place. It was more than a support group, a support program in place. Would you be interested? This was after several conversations. Would you be interested in working with Mary Rodwell, who heads up our support division, to create a program and then run it? And I said, yeah, that sounds really cool. Because again, no planning on anything. I just jump right in. So I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll do it. So that's where I kind of looked into every single thing that I could, except I worked with one super soldier. And I had a couple of conversations and I was like, whoa, this guy is really intense and I want nothing to do with him. Like I had a really weird reaction to him. Like I just want nothing to do with him. Yeah.
I think that sounds great. I have just a side note for everyone. Here's the issue again with anyone, you know, when it comes to religious experiences, this is, I think, a fair comparison. Somebody has a religious experience. You can't, not only can you not argue with it when somebody says, well, it was inspired, you know, my information was inspired, or I saw it in a dream, and you literally cannot argue when it's Holy Spirit inspired, you know, when it's in. So there's no arguing with these. There are various groups that, yeah, they have they can say something that they've been up to, but there are lots of things that we should believe from people, like abductions and lucid dream states, like everything we're talking about. There are things where it's like there is no benefit to put yourself out on the line and say, hey, this happened or that happened. And, you know, we have genetic stored memories. We have collective human consciousness. I mean, you and I, we both covered independently and otherwise. And, but there is a genre, and all I'm going to add out there, because I just wanted to, is the whole like super soldier concept is, wow, for those that aren't interested in paying attention to Marvel comics, there's this. Like, there's just no arguing. There's no like, okay, yeah, you know, you were whatever. Yeah. And I don't know who you're talking about. So this is not,
I'll tell you off air.
Yeah, no. That's fine. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Cause it's someone that most people will know, but he wasn't at the time. And I don't want to like put that.
No, let's do it off air after we've, anyway, back to you being a therapist to cover your own problems first and then help others.
Wow. Snarky. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. It's totally fine. Tells me a lot about your personality though, Jared.
I'm allowed out on the weekends from the hospital now. I'm proud of that.
It's totally fine. So anyway, I just had a very intense reaction to him. I didn't want anything to do with him, and I wanted absolutely nothing to do with secret space program. None of it. That was the one rabbit hole I never went down, because, you know, we all have, speaking of kind of what you're saying, like, yeah, there's some things you just can't argue with, but we all have our limits, right? Of what we find like acceptable, and what we find like, this is just too far. I can't take that step. It's just too much for me to believe that. And for me, that was the secret space program. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I had no problem talking to people about like going to a galactic federation and meeting with dragon beings and, you know, these amorphous energetic beings. Like, to me, in my head, I was like, yeah, I could see that might be a possibility. Maybe, who knows? I can't say no. But
well, which episode about which episode? It was at Babylon 5 or Deep Space Nine? Which episode?
I don't know. I didn't watch either one of them.
Well, I feel like a lot of people missed it because some of these stories just blow my mind. It's like you're describing any one of those shows, and
are you saying it's fake? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that. However, I find it interesting as we learn more about nanotechnology, and something I've written about extensively, and I'm fascinated by quantum mechanics and the general quantum computing where we're at currently. But even nanotechnology by 2008 had remote controlled nano factories that could be injected into the human body and produce Wi-Fi controlled nanobots that could go into a singular cell. So if you are a interdimensional space traveling alien, do you need to wear a hard hat and mine minerals? Or quantumly speaking, do you have billions of nano factories that to us would appear Merlin-like magic? And could you, just like the food maker on Star Trek, would you just put atoms together in the form that you need? You know, the idea of traveling as an interdimensional anthropologist through space to find a special mineral and to be part of a galactic federation on that level screams, I just learned about sci-fi.
But are you saying you think that that's not a possibility?
I think that when you look at even our applied sciences now, and you look at what it would take to produce intergalactic space flight, the level of technology required to do those things, the minute anyone says that there is that there's a group of, pick a dimension, a galaxy, a universe, group of people that need to go somewhere else to get a mineral, energy, anything, is skipping a very complex network and weaving of technologies that fulfill any unknown need, whether it's your cellular system, consciousness, or I mean, we're aware of it on a basic level. We're aware of it in our safe mode, in the broken mode we're in. We're aware that there's a collective human consciousness, that there's a consciousness that connects not just metaphysically in woo-woo land to the ground and the earth and other things that are around, but it's part of a biotechnical system, in my opinion. But at the same time, galactically speaking, if there is a group of aliens that like, well, shit, we're just out of gold. We just need to get somewhere with gold. We'll use our interdimensional space traveling abilities to get to fill in the blank so we can get gold. Yeah, down. That's her, by the way. That was not a dog.
That's right. I can throw my voice. It's great.
It's incredible. That was going to be our part 2, but
sorry. Couldn't hold back with what you were saying. That was my reaction to it.
Yeah, right. But yeah, no. So I think so everyone's at a different, okay, you have different family of origin stories. You have different religious experiences. You have different ways to look at things that you might not understand as a technology, but more importantly, there's people at different points in their journey and understanding the world is more complex than they think. There is caveats and organizations and groups that are collectively a part of a system that is way beyond, the simplistic way that we thought everything worked. That being said, if you have a limited exposure to like sedimentary DNA, nuclear DNA testing, and where we are with current DNA technology, there is a limited understanding for some people. So I think, despite some very best efforts on some people's smarts to say, hey, I think I know enough to like say something really, intelligent on why would these aliens be here. And if it comes to needing a physical element, my BS meter starts to go, because the complexities of using, whether it's dark matter, regular matter, anything that has to do with the quantum universe, magnetic fields, the way we're really starting to just begin to comprehend waves and frequencies and energy, that level of technology has with it a wholeness and a completeness that doesn't require an external hidden mystery something, because you can build it. We think of something that needs to be built out of the ground. If you can combine atoms, like we took 19 hydrogen atoms and actually created a bitmap planet of the Earth. That we did that in 2010, 11, and that was out of like 19 atoms. So the idea of spintronics, the theoretical electron, and how we set as a 1 or a 0 and on and off, our very concepts of that technology is really in its infancy developing. So yeah, when somebody starts talking about, not you, when somebody's saying there is a clandestine organization of googly googlies on the far side of googly and googly, no, I don't think so. my meter just starts to like, now that doesn't change, I think, their experiences. So let's just say someone with no purpose, if somebody says, hey, I had this experience and this experience and this experience, no one of any advanced nature, whether human or otherwise, has any need to tell you the truth, give you the correct story, or again, explain to you what's really happening to you. So that's the other problem with people who have had abductions and everything else, is that I think it's Rick and Morty. There's no requirement by the person who's abducted you with the better technology to explain what's really going on with you. I think it's very dishonest and horrible.
Okay.
I'm not done.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm not done. Anyway, so the whole super soldier thing does bug me. Okay. It bugs me a ton.
Okay.
And the whole idea of not comprehending. I mean, that's, again, you got to comprehend the technology, and we're already doing it on a nano scale, graphene conductors, metamaterials and metasciences. We're seeing, through 3D printing. I'm done. I'm shutting up. Anyway.
No, it's okay. I can see you're in your feelings about this, and that's okay. I hear you and I validate you.
I've had enough of a metaphysical hug. Keep going.
Okay. But I also have arguments for you.
Oh,
so
please.
Okay.
I'm done.
You're making the assumption that they are traveling for a need of some kind, right? Whether it's mineral, whatever it might be. There may not
only based on the stories. Yes, only based on the stories I've been told by some of these super soldier types.
You haven't been told enough stories then. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I have
please.
So many people I can introduce you to. Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. No. I'm not gonna try and convince you. You're allowed to think whatever you'd like to think.
Oh, no. You're not convincing me. I fully am now open.
Okay.
To that space. Build on it.
Okay. It's a safe space in here for us to share. Yes. So I did have that same reaction as you. I could not get past the secret space program. That to me, which is funny if you think about the fact that I'm like, okay with the Galactic Federation, because I believe that other beings could be coming here for a multitude of reasons, right? And I think it is possible. I think that there are civilizations that are millions, if not billions of years more advanced than us and have a completely different understanding of physics than us. And we to them are less than the cavemen. I mean, they're closer to us in development than we are to them. So anyways, but to me, I was like, yeah, I could see that. But a secret space program that's going on behind the scenes, that's like 50 years more advanced, that's ridiculous. Not so much, right? But that was where my mind was at, right? It's possible. It is possible. I'm just going to say, open your mind to the possibility. It's possible.
Tubs of Oreo filling with no Oreo?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, but it's out there.
Ew, is it really? Like just the cream?
Yeah, I just found that out.
Just like a
tub.
Okay. And I love a good Oreo, but that's a bit much.
Things not at your reception for 1,000.
Yes. So anyway, so I had this very weird reaction to them. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a reason I'm telling you this.
Yeah,
so,
you were on your way. We digressed on Super Soldier.
Yes. So super soldier interaction, whoa, way too intense. So in other words, I never went down the rabbit hole of secret space program or super soldiers, other than, like I said, I had about 2 conversations with the guy, and he started talking about the things that most super soldiers talk about, like biologically enhanced, yada, 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 all that stuff. So
Bad
I knew
vegan.
that much, but that doesn't have anything to do with my story per se. But and then secret space program, all I knew was, because he had mentioned it, I wanted nothing to do with it. So all I knew was that people believe there is a secret space program that's more advanced than what we have out in public today. That was the extent of what I knew about it, because I didn't research it. I said, anyone who comes along, someone else is taking them. Like, I didn't want it. That's how, and I never do that with like clients that I ever worked with. I've never there was one time and there was a reason for that. But anyways, so over the course of the years, I've worked with experiencers for like 10 plus years now. So anyways, After the first couple of years, I was like, I had gotten certified and done regressions on people because like I said, my degree's in psych. I have a background in psychology. So I was like, well, this is interesting. Let me look into this. And everybody always asks, no, I don't still do it. Because it takes it's a lot of time and it's a lot of like commitment to do it. But anyways, so I was like, maybe I should have one done because I had that weird mantis thing and I couldn't remember anything about it. I was like, I wonder if there's anything to that. Let's just have one done because I hadn't had one done on myself. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to be doing them to people, I should know what they're like to have done on yourself. Right. Yep. So I was like, okay, well, let's see if there's anything to this mantis thing. Right. It was all secret space program stuff. All secret. And I came out of it, and you probably know my personality well enough to know that I came out of it and I was like, my literal reaction was nope, no, no. And
you must have been pissed.
I was very annoyed. I was highly annoyed at that point in time. And the psychologist that was doing it, he was very sweet. And he was just like, oh, well, let's talk about this. And I was just like, no, I don't want this. And this is the last thing I ever wanted it to be. But it was all like very clear memories. And I picked him specifically because one, I wanted someone with a background in psychology because I knew, and I knew his wife, I knew him. I vetted someone. I'm very careful, working in psych myself. I'm very careful to know what I wanted and what I didn't want. And I wanted someone who knew what they were doing, who wasn't going to ask leading questions, who wasn't going to do anything along those lines.
Hard one.
Yeah. I wanted a psychologist, and that's who I think he's a psychiatrist. Yeah, he is psychiatrist. Anyway,
you verified it. That's what's important. Keep going.
Yes. So he was one of the two. This was like 10 years ago.
It was enough validation for me. F you. Let's go.
Okay. So I was just kind of like, no. So I struggled with it. I did have another regression a couple months later. I didn't get quite as much out of that one, but there was stuff that was added on. But me being me, I questioned everything out of the second one because I was like, well, is my brain just playing off of the info that came out of the first one? I don't know. I don't know that I could trust the second one. Right. And that's valid. That's a valid question. And anytime I always ask tell anybody who's having regressions done, after the regression is done, you do have to question all of the information. Is this something that I might have seen somewhere else? Did my brain maybe pull this out of like my subconscious that I had seen this at some point in time and sort of created something and blended these stories together? Now for me, why I said that what I did about the super soldier and not going into the secret space program is because I had not delved into any of that. So I was then able to go back and validate some of the things that I had seen because I went and looked into it after like the second regression. I was like, okay, well, let me look into this to see if there was anything to this. Did I just make any of this stuff up? If I can validate it, then maybe there is something to it, right? Which unfortunately there was. So I remember in the first regression, I started out like at 7 years old. I was on a craft. I got brought up to a craft, and I got brought up on this weird, it looked like a bubble, which is very strange to say, but there were these tall like guys. They weren't human because their skin was blue, but I couldn't see their faces. They had on like, it almost looked like what you would see like a motorcycle helmet with a blacked out visor. Like they had that on and like all black. So I couldn't see most of them. I could just see like their skin peeking out like at their wrists and their neck, and it was blue. So I knew they weren't like human, obviously.
This is not Daft Punk. You were not at a party in New York.
It was not a rave. It was nothing. So they took me up into this bubble thing to this ship, which I always thought was really weird. But now, years later, Michael Schratt in his book that he just put out that talks about all the different types of crafts, he went back and researched all these different experiencer stories and stuff. There's one that looks like a bubble, and I freaked out when I saw that because I'd never heard anybody else say it before, and I was like, what? I thought I had made that one up, to be honest. I thought I was like, did I just make that bubble thing up? It's just very weird. But then, like I said, like 10 years later, it shows up in a book that somebody else had the same type of experience. But anyways, so I went up to the ship. My dad was there. It was a military ship, yada, yada, yada. Moving on. There was more to it, but I'm trying to condense because this will take a long time. You just have to trust me. Trust me.
I'm letting you get to what you think is. They can get your honor. No, let Avalanche. I only had one digression on the super soldier thing, which drives me bananas.
Okay. Nice. I still have a hard time talking to super soldiers, so I'm there with you. I have a hard time. It's not that I have a hard time believing it. I have a hard time with their very intense energy. They're just like in your face, which I'm always like, Personal space.
Yeah. Hey, stop. This is my
Right.
personal
Like your
box.
energy is invading my energy and I'm not happy with this.
No.
You could take the girl out of the new age, but you can't take the new age out of the girl.
Chiming on.
Energetic space. So, so I was on the ship. They did this. I went into this classroom. I'll go into some of the details. Go into this classroom. It looked like a classroom. I'm assuming it was a classroom because there were children. There was a woman who looked like she was teaching them. This little boy came over and he was just like, oh, let me show you this. And he brought me to the table and there was this like ball hovering above it. And it looked like a plasma ball of some kind. It was like light blue in color, kind of slowly, swirly moving, but it was just hovering above the table. And he was like, okay, what we're doing is like, you put your hands on either side of it, don't touch it. So he was like, put your hands on either side of it, don't touch it, and see if you can make the energy in the ball move faster just by thinking that you want it to move faster. And so I did that. And I put my hands on either side of it, and then it started to turn pink, like where my hands were. They weren't touching it, but right under my hands. And then, the energy started moving, but not very much. And he was like, no, you have to think faster. So I was just kind of like, okay. So then I started thinking faster and the energy started swirling and it was very strange. It got like brighter. Yeah. And then he said, now pull your hands off. I'm trying to get into the camera. Pull your hands off and see if you can get the energy to stick to your hands. And so I did what he said, and it stuck to my hands, like almost like bubble gum. Like when you get a lot of bubble gum and it stretches out, it stuck to my hands like that. And then these guys came over, the guys that had come and got me, the ones in all black. I always struggle because I don't want to call them the men in black, very different thing. So these guys in black came and they were like, okay, it's time for us to go. They brought me to an office. I remembered the ship. The ship was really long. At the time, I described it in my mindset as a 7-year-old. I described it as looking like a skyscraper on its side. So it was long and like, it wasn't cylindrical, it was almost rectangular, but not like as harsh as a rectangle. But anyways, so they brought me to an office and my dad was there. And I was just kind of like, what the, because like I said, my dad was in the military, he was in the Air Force. And he did retire at a fairly high rank. He was a colonel. But he was talking to me and he was just like, well, how did you like that? You did really well. Did you have fun? And I was just like, yeah, it's fun. Like still wasn't getting like answers like, what is this? And where am I? And why are you here? But I was just kind of like, yeah. And so then he pushed this button on his desk and the wall behind him turned into what looked like glass. And I could see we were hovering right above the moon, like not orbiting, hovering. It was right there. And it was very like crystal clear. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, I know, right? And I was just kind of like, what? So then I went back home. And so I had this regression and I was just like, what was that? There was a little more here and there, but that's the gist of it. And so I had another one a couple months later. Again, couldn't trust the info in that one quite as much. I was able to validate some of it. That wasn't necessarily related to the stuff that was in the first one, but it took me 7 years of processing this information. Of kind of like, how do I deal with this? Because my rational brain was just like, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. But they do feel like very, very real memories, just like any other memory that I have. So, you're struggling and kind of like trying to piece it together. And it was conflicting for me a lot. And there were bits and pieces. It was fragmented. And I was having a hard time. And I also so like my childhood is very fragmented as well. I can't remember a lot of my childhood. And some of this can get very heavy, guys. So I apologize. I don't know if you want me to get into that. Some of it can be triggering.
Yeah, don't apologize. It's our show. You don't get to apologize.
I know. Wait, okay, I'm sorry.
But you do it.
I'm
You do it.
Sorry that I'm saying I'm sorry. Yes.
You do it as an amusement. You don't have to apologize to anyone.
Well, when I start talking and getting into some of the heavy stuff, like I did it at a conference not too long ago, and people's reactions are this. So I'm just going to warn everybody. It gets heavy and it might be triggering.
You look for somebody who wouldn't preload you with questions. Don't preload everyone.
No, I'm just saying it can be triggering. That's what I'm trying to say. There is an aspect of this that can be triggering to some people.
Hey, we started with preferencing that we were doing a show together. That's all the warning everyone gets. We're doing us. There's literally no one listening. I mean, there are. Just go.
Okay, but you will see why I said that. As a therapist, just trust me on this one. There is an aspect to this that can be triggering to some people if they've had similar experiences.
Oh, look. Okay, fine. To that point, One of the reasons we're doing this live is, yes, we're following what you guys are. Well, there's been a very particular conversation right now, but the point is that please chime in if there is something you do want to chat about that does have to do with that.
Yeah.
And share. It is about whatever the modality is that you're coming from. And one of the things that it's not about being skeptical of it happening. The issue is exactly what is it? Who is it? Is it military? Is it a space traveling anthropologist? Is it really advanced ancient humans? The whole point is for us to ask these questions collectively. You're not just here. Yeah. For all of you out there enjoying dinner or kicking back and enjoying the ride, this is what we are doing. I mean, the reason you go and we do field research or are having these dialogues is 100% to figure out that there are more questions than there are answers, but tabling them and collectively meeting to discuss them is a way for us to process, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I'm definitely open. I always say, I usually preface it, but I didn't this time. So please ask me questions. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to ask questions or answer them. You should ask questions of people telling you stories like this. You should be asking questions, but I will answer them to the best of my ability. But there is a part coming up that is going to be that might be triggering to some people who have had similar experiences. So I do want to put that out there. And I know you say that I don't need to, but trust me on this one, it can be.
I'm not. Well, I'm just also saying as a personal affirmation, you get to do what you want. It's us. So
it's not that I'm apologetic. I'm just putting it out there. That's all.
You are. So in the future, when I'm encouraging you to be like center stage at the party, this is, no, should someone say something? No, let her go.
Okay. So, like I said, my childhood is very fragmented in my memories as well. I don't remember much anything from the age of about 6 to 12.
What do you remember before 6?
Bits and pieces.
Like, what's the earliest thing you remember?
My grandmother sitting on the edge of my bed in the middle of the night. I found out later I was 2 and she had died that night. She wasn't actually there. It was a ghost. But I thought she was sitting on the edge of my bed. And I said something to my mom. I was like, oh, like it was actually my great grandmother. Excuse me. I said, oh, like, I woke up and saw her on the edge of my bed. And my mom just was like, because she had gotten the phone call in the middle of the night that my great grandmother had passed away, but I was 2, didn't know that. And I didn't know this until years later when I said, oh, do you remember when I said that to you? And she was just like, she goes, okay, first of all, I can't believe you remembered that. But because I found out not long after that she had passed away. And even at that young age, I kind of sort of put 2 and 2 together and thought, well, that's weird, but anyways, so I remember 12, that. What?
Well, then after 12, you started remembering things.
Well, hold on. There's more.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
okay.
See,
so
don't want to jump ahead.
My point is there is a big gap in my memories in my childhood. This will come into play later, right? Now,
is it during your divorce or after?
What?
Totally joking.
Okay. Which one?
What's important is we try things to know for sure if we're doing it wrong.
That's right.
Lynn and I both try things more than once.
That's right. We're not quitters.
No.
We're not quitters. We keep going.
Yeah. If first you don't fall down again. That's what falling down is. I verified. Trust. Yep.
We're good at it. We're good at it. So anyways, so keep in mind that I have these blanks, and I'll get into the triggering part in a second. So I was trying to figure out, I was trying to put all this together. So, my job as a therapist was to analyze the mind, right? And to look at how we think about things. I was a cognitive behavioral therapist. So I look at how we think about things and how that affects our behavior, the words that we tell ourselves, the way we remember things, the way we think about things, how we process information affects how we behave and how we feel. And so I am constantly always analyzing my own brain as well. But anyway, I was kind of like, something isn't adding up here. Like, what is going on? Why can't I remember most of my childhood? What is happening? Like, why? And in some of these memories that, I didn't tell you, there was another one that came back. So some started to spontaneously come back to after the regressions. Like there was one I remember was on the ship, And I was an adult at this point in time. And I remember walking by this woman who was in this weird, like egg-shaped container that was filled with this like amber fluid. She was kind of floating in it. She was naked. She had this like weird, almost like an umbilical type device hooked up to her. And she was awake and aware because she looked at me. And I remember hearing in my head, she was just like, help me, where am I? What's happening? And I had no emotional response to her whatsoever. And I was just like, you'll be fine. And I kept walking. And I remember thinking like, that's a really weird reaction for me as a therapist to have to someone reaching out to me, asking for help. And like, I could tell she was afraid. I could like feel her fear. And I was just kind of like, well, that just doesn't like make any sense. Why would I react that way? That's like cold and unfeeling. And so I had these weird memories coming back, right? I know it gets weirder, Jared. So,
oh no, please keep going. This, like you already said who the guy was and how your marriage was, this is like,
oh no, Dave already knows all of this stuff. He knows all of this. So anyway, so I was trying to put these weird kind of fragmented things together, and things that weren't like me is my point. Like, that's not like me to act like that. That's not like me to be that cold and unfeeling. Yeah, sometimes I just blurt things out.
I do it in a calculative way that hurts intentionally.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, you'll be fine, and kept walking. Yeah. Like, that's not like me. I'm not overly emotional, but I have some feeling, and so I'm not as cold-hearted as I always say I am. Actually, I can be. But anyways, so I was like, okay, what is happening here? So now keep in mind, I've been working with experiencers for quite some time. And so I've researched quite a few things. And one thing that kept coming up over and over again that caught my eye was MKUltra. And I was like, okay, now I know, and I do love a good conspiracy theory. So I know there are declassified documents about MKUltra. So I started looking into this because I was kind of like, okay, what is this? And it sort of just caught my attention at first, and I didn't put two and two together. Ange was asking me, do you get flashes of what happened that would not leave you till you put it together? Yes, I do. I do. And I did. I still don't have full recall of everything, but, so I started looking into MKUltra. What is it? Right. And I started looking into, people that were talking more about it. I knew Misha Johnston. Anybody who knows Misha, she's amazing. She's awesome. I love her. I'd known her for quite some time. So she talks a lot about it. And so I was like, okay, well, let me look into what Misha's saying. And I was looking at all of the different things that talk about like kind of what goes into the types of programming that they do in these programs, these mind control programs, and what are kind of like signs, or things that they do to a person that are encompassed in these types of programming. And a lot of them fit my story. And I was just kind of like, okay, I still had a hard time accepting this kind of like, I don't know. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized that there was so much that coincided with it. And then the memory started coming back. Yeah, then memory started coming back. And I was like, oh, okay, that is what's happening here. And so just to give you a very brief overview, for example, they have different levels of programming. So there's an alpha. Do you know all of this anyway? By the way, am I like?
I've hosted some shows with people who have written books and have been part of the MKUltra program, and there's actually yes. So we can, but for
those that I can give like a brief overview of the different levels of because that does come into play.
Well, but overall, for those. Obviously, everyone out there is definitely interested in all these general subjects, and they probably both listen to you or I or both of us for various reasons. And the reality is that maybe not everybody understands about all the different military actual programs that are out there. And I mean, even a basic overview. I mean, we are talking about an actual proven to exist government program.
Yes.
This is not a conspiracy. This is a legitimate.
Right. The only thing that they might say is a conspiracy is that it is still ongoing, whereas they said they stopped it in, I think it was the 70s. But that's not the case. It is still ongoing, as are many military projects that they've claimed have ended. They get reiterated into different names. They get, different
Yeah.
facades. But yes, so we always refer to it as MKUltra just because it's kind of the heading that we know it as, right? So there are different levels of programming, and not everybody has all the different levels. So the alpha programming it's kind of like the base level programming, and this is where they create altars. And so for me, this was actually really interesting having a psych background. So what they're doing when they create an altar is basically they're purposefully giving you what we would call dissociative identity disorder, which is like what is commonly called multiple personality disorder. So they do that through many ways. In the 60s, they started doing it with hypnosis and drugs, like hallucinogenics. They would do this weird kind of combination of the two and just really kind of mess with your mind, until basically an alter is when your mind fractures and splits into two or more.
Right.
They've also found that sexual trauma before the age of 5 is highly effective to do this. And that is something that I had. This is why I'm saying this can be triggering to some people. It doesn't bother me to talk about it because it was very weird. It was under very weird circumstances. I don't remember all of it. But it was very, very weird. Let me just put it that way. Like it was a small confined space. I don't know the people, even though I thought I knew them. I told my stepmom, who you said, you remember you joked, she was like, well, maybe she was hired. I told her and she was just like, okay. She's like, I'll take care of it. And then like, I never saw these 2 teenagers again. Everybody acted like it never happened, just kind of dismissed it. And it was very weird. It was very weird, but I felt like, yeah. And like my memories of it when it was happening are in, like I said, like a very enclosed space, like in the trunk of a car type of enclosed space, tiny, weird.
And then I guess because it doesn't bother you to talk about it, the question is, when you say it's weird, is it weird because it seems surreal, or it's weird because you didn't understand what was happening, or all the above? Or
well, I was like 5, so I didn't understand exactly what was happening. I remember it very clearly, and I'm not going to get into the details.
Right.
That can definitely be triggering to people, but
right.
But when I say it was weird, it was like I was out playing with my friends. We lived in a cul-de-sac and we saw these 2 teenagers. And in my mind, I remember thinking they were kids that lived in our neighborhood. And I don't know why I thought that, because I didn't know them. And for some reason, I left my friends and went off with these 2 teenagers. Now, I don't remember from leaving until getting into that small enclosed space. I have no memory of. Leaving the small enclosed space and getting back home, I have no memory of. So that's why I'm saying it's weird, because there are pieces of it, which some would argue, well, it was a traumatic event. Of course, your mind is going to block memories of it. That's possible.
Yeah.
But I had always remembered this, which is, it's a bit unusual when it comes to this type of a programming, because they're doing this. So the reason that they do sexual trauma use sexual trauma is because, one, it's very easy to do, and it doesn't require the, months and months of hypnosis and hallucinogens and all of the things. So when I say it's easy to do, I'm not obviously speaking about the act, but it's quick, right? It's quick, it's efficient. Our minds are amazing. They are very protective of us. And so it's very common in sexual trauma before the age of 5. They've done studies, and I did look this up, of people who have DID, dissociative identity disorder. 90% of them have had sexual trauma. 50% of those 90 were before the age of 5. So it's actually a very common reaction to this type of a situation. So basically, this traumatic event happens, your mind fractures, splits into 2. The one personality went through it. The base personality, like Lynn, didn't. Now, in my case, I always remembered it for whatever reason. But like I said, fragmented. I don't remember all of it. So there was that. There was also my stepmom, who we were joking about, was very weird. She was very weird. And when I say weird, I mean, like, I always thought she was crazy, but she would do things like, my older brother, who went later on to become a Green Beret, he realized every time, so this was back in the 90s before we all had like cell phones. It wasn't like, I mean, they were out, but not readily available, like late 80s, early 90s. He realized every time we picked up the home phone, there was a click. And he was kind of like, well, that's weird. What is that? And so he kind of went snooping when our parents were out, and found that my stepmom, who was his mom, my stepmom had a small tape recorder hidden kind of under, it was either under her side of the bed or under like the nightstand right near her side of the bed. Somehow he found it, and it was hooked up to this device so that every time that the phone was picked up, it started recording all of the phone calls in the house. Right. Very
Okay.
weird. She would also like tail me while I was out with my friends. I would see her quite often, like following me, even though I could tell she didn't want me to know she was there. And I never like admitted it because I knew the moment I got home, she would often interrogate me to see if what I said matched up with what she saw.
Okay. Tell me, we're going to learn more about what happened to stepmom.
Sure. So well, yes and no, because she's still around. I don't have a relationship with them anymore. Unfortunately, she's kind of isolated my dad from everybody, but she would isolate me too. So like my mom, my biological mom, I was only allowed to talk to her once a week on the phone. This is like my stepmom had put these parameters up. And then when I was a teenager, it was only once a week from a payphone. I couldn't even call her inside the house. So she did her very best to try to isolate me from my mom and my mom's side of the family, which is also very common for what we would call a handler to do. Is to isolate you from friends and family. And she was very, very good at that too. And she was also just, I mean, if you saw her, you would probably say like unhinged, maybe would be a good way, but she was always like, she would go off on the slightest thing. And so she basically, in psychological terms, she created an environment of stress and fear. So always has the adrenaline pumping, right? You're never relaxed. You always are in that very kind of like adrenalized state. And so all of this, when I looked back, and there were a couple more things, but when I looked back over all of this, it all fell into place. And I was just kind of like, it was one of those moments of like, this is what it was. This is what's happening. And then,
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And then as so the memory started to come back more and more at that point in time. And then when I got asked to do to talk about my experiences at UFOCon earlier this year, I finally was like, okay, well, everybody kept telling me, write down your experiences. And then I tell experiencers the same thing, and I've never done it myself. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to write them down and write it out in a timeline so I can have a cohesive understanding of my experiences. And as I was doing that, which by the way, for any experiencers out there, do it. Like, I know everybody says to do it, but do it, because you will you'll have a better understanding of what has happened to you. You'll be able to create a timeline. And I also had more memory surface while I was doing that. And then as I was doing this, I was writing things out, and I had this thought pop into my head, which was, I was a killer. That was the exact like thought that came into my head. And I didn't know at this point in time, I did not know about the levels of programming, like the alpha, beta, gamma, delta. No, wait, alpha, beta, delta,
patches.
theta. Yeah, I didn't know of those. I didn't know about them. I knew about the alters, but that was about it. And so I was just kind of like, well, that's a weird thought. But then I also stepped back and looked objectively. Well, actually, my first response was, because like I said, I have this weird ability, like I can turn my emotions off. Like, and when I say off, not putting them aside, like completely off. So I will look at my kids, I will look at my pets, I will feel absolutely nothing. Like I would feel for them what I would feel for a rock outside. Like it's numb. So it's not a great state to be in. It's really
you know what?
not.
It's exactly the state I want to give you pen and paper and have you draw pictures.
You probably wouldn't like what you see. But anyways, because I wouldn't care. That's the thing, is you just don't care. And in order to get yourself out of that state, you have to want to care. But when you don't care, it's hard to want to care.
Nirvana or Metallica, which do you prefer then in that state?
Metallica, for sure.
Nice.
Yes. Actually, in that state, I don't know. I was always a big Guns N' Roses fan, but I just like Guns N' Roses.
I
and
like
Beastie Boys.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best albums ever made on heroin ever.
Yeah.
Appetite for Destruction. Amazing album. This is homework for people as much as mastodons at kill sites at the Gault Archaeological site. Definitely GNR, Appetite for Destruction.
Absolutely, yes. And and I played the Humpty Dance on my morning show the other day because excellent song, amazing song, one of the best songs ever.
It is
masterpiece.
If I could get you ever in a window of you don't care and just put you out clubbing in that state, I think it would be fun. That'd be quite epic.
I don't dance.
Oh, you don't need to care at that point.
But that's true. I wouldn't care. So I'd probably be like, whatever. That's
you want I wanted to point something out for everyone about MKUltra. There is solid evidence that was something Charles Manson was in. Not that there's not enough evidence about that, but just for everyone to get exactly, there is solid evidence for that, which I never talk about, but Anyway, moving on.
It's true. And it's fascinating. So anyways, so I had that thought and my first reaction was, well, that makes turning your emotions off handy. Right. Like that was my initial reaction to it. Not like, oh my God, what did I just think about myself? I was like an immediate knowing, like, yeah, I probably was. And so I was just kind of like, well, that's weird, right? Like, why would I think that? But then I was like, I looked at it, like, why would I think the word killer as opposed to like assassin or sniper or any of those things? But then I was like, well, if I was involved with the MKUltra programming, and they do have things that they want you to, like deterrence, right? They want to try to keep you from having these memories. So you'll find people that are in these types of programs, when they start looking into, and this happens to me, when I start looking into something where I guess they don't want me to like recall that information, I have very immediate like physical reactions. Like for me, I get really nauseous, like I'm just going to throw up, or I'll have like a stabbing pain in a certain part of my head, like there's a knife going into my brain, or I'll get really dizzy and feel like I'm going to pass out. Like, it's very weird. It's very weird. So I was just kind of like, okay, I knew it, and then I'm like, well, why would they say, like, why would I think killer? That's weird. But then I realized, well, killer it's a more emotional term, right? It's a more like, there's more like shame, criticism, there's more judgment on killer than there is like if I were to say I was a killer versus like, oh, I was a sniper, I was an assassin. Like that's much more acceptable. I mean, granted, not like assassin, maybe not acceptable in society, but it's okay. It's like, it's different than the word killer, right? You see what I'm saying? It's got a different intonation to it. And so I was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense why they would do that. So then,
in a post gaming world, that's a normal question to ask yourself. Killer, ninja,
right? Yeah.
FBI.
But the thing is that I knew it immediately. I was just kind of like, yep. I could see that about myself. And so then I was texting one of my friends who, people who've seen my show know. What? No.
Well,
how would I text the victim? They're dead. Come on.
Well, you bury the survivors on which side of the border? You know the joke?
Yeah. What? You can't bury a survivor. What? I don't
know.
Right?
You've not heard that riddle?
No.
It's a horrible riddle. It's a plane is traveling to Canada. It crashes on the border. Where do you bury the survivors?
You don't bury a survivor. They're not dead.
Well, yeah, because MKUltra taught you to see through everything. Some people ponder that, noodle it.
Do they?
See? Blam.
But see, that's the other thing. Like, you're right. So when I learned about the different levels, that's another thing that was validating. I actually had Misha Johnston on my show like a week later after I had this kind of thought come into my head. And that's where she started talking about these different levels of programming, the alpha, beta, gamma, delta, theta, I think is another one, sigma. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti.
Yeah, they're all Greek letters. And delta is assassin training. And I had no idea this was involved with MKUltra in the slightest. And so when she said that, I was kind of like, I can only imagine what my face looked like on the show. I was probably like straight face. But inside I was just like, what? Like, it was so weird. It was one of those like goosebumps moments, like, oh my God.
We do a conference live. I'm bringing a dog whistle, but I'm going to be 20 feet away. And I'm going to play GNR, and then I'm going to see what happens.
It's funny, but I have been triggered when I was talking about this on a show. And I was never triggered before. This is really weird. So I was talking about this I did an episode on my channel where I went through my whole presentation and talked about all the slides, and I have pictures of like, bruises that I've woken up with, and puncture marks that I've woken up with, and like all kinds of weird things, and kind of went through the whole story. And I pre-recorded it, but I did it as a premiere. So I was live in the chat with everybody, and someone started putting in binary code. And I was like, that's really weird. And I knew that it was like, I was feeling kind of weird when I saw it. So I just didn't look at it. But then I was on my friend's show, and Alien Girl 111, and she just happened to kind of do this spontaneous, like, experiencers, like, open the line to experiencers to come on and tell their story. And nobody was like kind of jumping on. So I was like, whatever, I'll go on and start telling a little bit if she wants, So we ended up just getting into my whole story, and someone in the chat, and it ironically, or maybe not, was the same person that did the binary code in the last one, because I took note of who it was, put binary code in this one. And I was just kind of like, oh my God. And then I'm like, but I'm very stubborn. So in my head, I was like, I am going to address this, because what the heck is happening here?
Right.
So I was like, Amy, I'm going to address this. and she put it up on the screen. But I was trying not to look at it, and I should have told her, don't put it up on the screen, but I want to address this because she had no idea what was going on. She had no idea that it had happened before. So this is not Amy's fault in the slightest. And so I was talking to her and I was like doing this. And so keep in mind, I was telling her my story and we had just gotten done like talking about how I was just like, yeah, I can turn my emotions off. I really don't cry it much. It takes a lot to make me cry. Yeah, Ange was there. She saw this. She's saying it in the chat. Somebody put binary code in. And then actually, I think 2 people actually did. And I know for sure the second person would never do something like that because they're a regular in my chat. Yeah. They're the sweetest. They're like one of my biggest supporters. I knew they would never do anything. But the person who done it before did it again. And that was the one that was put up on the screen. And I was trying to, and tears just started streaming down my face. Which is weird for me because I was like, oh God. Like, what am I doing? Like, I can't stop it. I can't make it stop. And usually I can make it. Like, if I ever feel myself tearing up, usually pretty good at just stopping it right away. And I was just kind of like, I couldn't stop. And poor Amy was like, what is happening? Okay, we're going to go. And she ended the show because she's a good friend. And, she was just like, what is happening? Because she saw the reaction that I had to it. And I was like, I don't know what that was. Like, this happened on my show and I started to feel weird, but like, oh, you're very sweet, Ange. No, I was fine. It made me feel really weird for the rest of the day. I wasn't emotionally upset. I wasn't upset. But
Vulcans have to process that stuff too.
It's true. It's true. I was trying so hard and I didn't want to like start crying on the air because I was like, one, I don't like emotions anyways. They're gross and I can't stand them.
Right.
But like,
you snap that other bib on your overall and you put your chain back on your wallet. You get on your motorcycle and you get back to that bar.
But it took me all day to get out of that state. Yeah, Amy did. Oh, David was there too, I guess. Amy, she took that show down. She was just like, boop. She had like, girl was like on it. And I was like, thank you so much. But like, I felt so bad. She was like, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to take it out. So nobody can see that. I don't want them to see that. I was like, no, it's okay. You can see, because that's the reality. Like, that's what happens sometimes with people who've been through this type of programming is you get triggered by things and it's weird. And it's like, it's hard. You can't control it. I said, it's real and you can leave it in. And she was like, nope, I'm taking it out. And she did.
Yeah. And if for people who have just joined, I mean, we're doing MKUltra. We are talking about actual programming. The reality is, I do think that it's worth going down that rabbit hole for anyone listening. Learn about it, but then also we are digging into the details, which come with some of this processing. And I think this has to do with just about everything else we're dealing with when it comes to built-in or programming genetic memories. I mean, we were programming human genome to contain memorable, recoverable information data. We could do a terabyte on a gram of DNA. And the reality is that we very much have the capability of not only planting active memories or blocking memories, but we have the ability to store data, recall it, and use the human body as a giant fat flash drive that can also be programmed. So anyway, these are valid. These are good, interesting rabbit holes for those of you who haven't gone down this. There are different ways that I think it affects all of us, especially since there's collective consciousness. But this individual programming thing is not okay. Especially, it's one thing if people would say, "Hey, I'm sign me up," But in your case, you have a dad who's potentially part of this entire thing.
Oh, he was. Yeah. But here's the thing you have to remember, and this is where it gets very complicated. Even my stepmom, who I hated growing up and still want nothing to do with her, a lot of the people that are above you in these programs are also programmed. So can you blame them because they're in the same state that you are? Right. So they're not the ones controlling the programming. They themselves are also programmed. So yes, because that was one of my first questions. So I'm really good friends with Samantha Mowat, who's been through a lot of the stuff. And so thank goodness she and I don't think it was by coincidence that we came together, but like she came right at the time where I was able to ask her a lot of questions, and she was further along in her kind of processing of her information because she'd gone through very similar things. But did anyone translate the messages? We tried to. Because I did get screenshots, and it was just like a weird. It was a weird symbol. It was kind of like if I remember right, like a square or something, but it wasn't a normal square, or it was like a I don't know what or it's a circle. I don't know. It wasn't anything that made any sense. But I forgot to say this, and this goes to what you were just talking about, how we're able to program human beings. The person who did it, as he saw my reaction, the one who put the binary code in there, he goes, I could see him in the chat, and he was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't even know why I put that. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. Like, you could tell he was visibly like, oh, what did I just do? Which, goes to show that they are able to influence. I mean, we know they have voice to skull technology, right? We know they have this type of microwave technology where they can put what sounds like somebody whispering in your head. They also, they do have all of these psychic programs that they have done. And there are people that believe that they can psychically implant information into a person, or as you're talking about, I mean, there's a lot of different things that they can do to influence our behavior without us even realizing it.
Yeah, it's really frustrating that, again, there are literally no laws against experimenting on an unknown populace. It's not okay. It really does. I don't think people can comprehend the level of indifference it takes to it's entirely different if you're willing to sign up for a project than it is to be it's like the unlucky lottery. It's not and I've interviewed, and I'm friends with Dr. Richard Allen Miller, and have a lot of dialogues with within this umbrella of subject, and it's just not okay.
Right.
But we've on a timeline, we've gotten you, I mean, just this last month into your 30s with this programming and with what's going on.
Yeah.
And the reality is that you're kind of, this revelation or the reveal of your stepmom being involved somehow, the recording devices, which you're outing her for. Has she contacted you about outing her on all this?
Oh, no, I don't think they know anything about that. They would. Well, for one thing, you got to remember, if they're programmed too, it's very possible, as you said, they can put memory blocks in, and that actually is within the alpha level of programming. The very base level is amnesia barriers. So she may not even remember doing that. She may have been programmed. That's where all of this gets very complicated, because you say, like, so this person says they are evil, in my opinion. Well, they are and they're not, because the people that are doing it to you may also be programmed, so they don't know they're doing it either. So that's
it's
like
a system.
Saying, right, like, so saying me as, like, if they pull out my altar and like have me work as an assassin to go kill someone, am I now responsible for that? Because Lynn, my base personality, has no awareness of it. So if they are and you can stay in your altered states for long periods of time, years. Anisha Johnson had an entire marriage she didn't remember.
I was going to say, your entire marriage?
No, sadly, no. But Nisha did. She was married for 6 months and had no memory of it whatsoever until she kind of came out of it and like found herself somewhere. And she was like, what? And her parents were like, well, where is so-and-so? She's like, who are you talking about? And there's like, she has a marriage certificate. There's records that she has no memory of it for like 6 months. She had no memory of any of it.
That's interesting. You wonder if it was going into it and the length of it, or if it was post reprogramming.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I mean,
I don't know.
You don't know.
No, and that's the hard part, is you don't.
That's something for everybody to think about. I mean, seriously, you don't know how they're messing. There was a whole neighborhood in Minneapolis, Minnesota, that was covered in radioactive dust to just see what would happen to the people as they were exposed to radioactive dust.
It's horrible.
And there's no one held accountable. No. It's just bizarre. It's just,
they do all kinds of crazy stuff. There was I can't remember, you might remember who it was. There was it was a group of soldiers that they like gave syphilis to without telling them.
There's that. There's so many. It's
terrible.
It's, you sign up and then you're like, wait, I'm signing up here. Don't read the fine print. You're a guinea pig now.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
The sad thing is, you don't have to sign up. They can just randomly select you. Did you ever hear of a short sci-fi story called The Tunnel? And it terrified me. Our English teacher read it to us when I was in 7th grade. And here's the thing. I think it was called The Tunnel. But the subject matter, everybody might recall a different name. So if you got it, put it down in the title, but basically the world was overpopulated. The only fair way to manage it was at random times and random points during different rush hours. They would close large tunnels that had many lanes of traffic. Everyone inside would be killed, gassed, and cleared. And then they would just open up and traffic would continue. And that was how they randomly controlled the human population.
And your teacher had you guys read this? Why?
I know.
A terrifying bedtime story.
Yeah, I was 13 when he read that to us. Yes.
Michigan UFO sightings. Yes, the Tuskegee Airmen. That was who they gave syphilis to. And by the way, for those that don't know why they would give syphilis to them, syphilis later in life, if left untreated, causes psychosis. That was one of the things, because I worked with clients with schizophrenia. That's one of the things you have to do in the diagnosis is to rule out syphilis at first. Syphilis and lead poisoning both can cause psychosis later in life.
Yeah, and that whole it is bizarre. So here you are. Besides the binary solo that you got exposed to, have you ever had anything else random? Anything that's been anything?
Yeah, I was trying to watch Max Spears, like a YouTube, because I didn't know anything about Max, and somebody has said go check Max out. Max is, unfortunately, he's passed away now under curious circumstances, but of course, which was, I think, claimed as a suicide or drug overdose. But anyways, Max came out and he was talking about all of these very things. And I got about, and my fiance Dave Hurley was right there with me, so he saw this happen too. Maybe a minute into it, and I felt like I was going to pass out, and like I was talking about, I get that, like it's like in the same spots, like right here every time, like it feels like a knife is being stuck into my head. And I was like, felt like I was going to pass out. I was literally like, oh my God, what is happening? That was the first time that ever happened, and it was very bizarre. So we had to turn it off, and I couldn't watch it. And so I still haven't gotten all the way through it. I've pressed myself a little more and more each time, to just try to make myself get through it, because that's the kind of person that I am. I'm stubborn, and I'm like, well, if this is going to happen, then that means I need to watch it. And so I'm going to like force myself to do it regardless of what happens. But yeah, I still haven't gotten all the way through one of his videos. Crazy.
Wow. So because how did you end up talking about it with your brother about the stepmom?
Oh no, I didn't talk to him about it. He told me after he found the device. He told me and showed me, because we were only like 14 months apart. We were really close in age, and he was just like.
But okay. You guys hadn't like pre-discussed it or sorted it out, or.
No, he doesn't know any of this. None of my family knows any of this. For one thing,
they do now.
Well, no, they don't, because they don't even know that I'm on these shows. So they wouldn't, unless they go looking for me, they wouldn't, I guess. I mean, maybe they do, but like I said, I don't talk to my dad and my stepmom. And even if I did, they would totally deny it anyways. So, because either my dad, like I said, he retired. He retired as a colonel in the Air Force. He worked at Wright Pat. I think he was like deputy director of a material command when he worked at Wright Pat, which means he oversaw kind of everything that went on in the base. He was like the one right under, like the director of material command oversees everything on the base, but they also oversee like different innovations, let's just say weapons, different technologies. They oversee all of that as well. So it kind of encompasses it. My dad is a civil engineer, so he oversaw most of like the running of the base, everything involved with it, he would have had knowledge on. So he, and I remember when we were at Wright Pat, I was in high school, and he and I used to talk all the time. I was actually really close to my dad, and it was a really weird conversation. And again, I wasn't into any of this at the time, and it really stuck out to me because it was just really odd. Remember, we were standing in the kitchen, and he was just like, "Do you believe in aliens?" And I was just kind of like, I mean, yeah, the universe is a pretty big place. Like, I don't see how they couldn't exist. I was kind of like, where is he going with this? But I was just like, yeah, I mean, the universe is a big place. How could there not be aliens? And his response was this.
That was it.
That was the end of the conversation. I was just kind of like, that was weird.
That's very weird.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, as much as you want to, I know episode 1, we're skimming this, but where was that kind of official falling out point? Was it a combination of actualization, realizing and processing? When did you finally just
It was before I knew all of this. No, it was just like I said, my stepmom, she was very emotionally abusive. She was just a horrible human being to be around. And once I had kids, it was actually after I had my third baby, I was like, you know what? I don't want I had them all close together. I had 3 kids under the age of 5 altogether.
She's referring to her cats because she's really a cat person.
That's right. I'm not old enough to have children. No. So yeah.
LOL.
Yeah. LOL. LMAO is more like it. So yeah. So I find
hard enough babies come out.
Right. I don't know. So I was just like, I don't want my kids exposed to this woman. Like I knew she was toxic. And so I was just like, any of this stuff aside, like I said, I hadn't come to any of this realization yet. I didn't even have the like mantis dream at this point in time. But I knew from a psychological perspective, I didn't want my kids around this. I didn't want my kids seeing someone treat me like this. I didn't want them to be able to be treated like this. And so I said to my dad, I was like, I love you. I still want to, I still want a relationship with you, but I don't want anything to do with her anymore. And he was just kind of like, nope, doesn't work that way. We'll send Christmas cards. And that was it. That was the end of it. And so I was just kind of like, huh. So, but now looking at the time, I was like, that's really strange, And now looking back on it, I recognize knowing that like she was not just my handler, I think she was his handler as well. And she's still, like I said, to this day, he's very isolated from the rest of the family. I don't usually go into all of this. You're good, Jared.
This is why we're good together.
Yeah. But yes, so that's the case. So no, we only found out about my brother found out about the recording device because we were teenagers, and he was just like, what the heck? She's recording all of our phone calls. So he showed me how to shut it off when they weren't home. We could go shut it off before we picked up the phone and made a phone
But she never confronted you about it.
She never knew that we knew because we turned it back on. So she had no idea that a phone call had even been made.
She's gonna know now.
What is she gonna do?
Eventually, hey.
No, I don't talk to her. So what's she gonna do? She's gonna stew over there. Either that or she won't remember any of it and she'll say that I'm lying. Because maybe her memory's blocked too.
Well, there's a thing. It's like, who's handling who, and have we not all watched The Americans? This is a big giveaway.
Yes. I haven't seen all of it yet, so don't give all of it away because I've only seen.
No, you're pretty much on track though.
Okay.
Well,
then I definitely want to watch it.
It's so interesting because there's, like you said, there's layers of consciousness, there's layers of control, and you got to wonder, it's like, how could it just be a small organization? But if each layer has enough information to operate at their level of emotional and mental and spiritual investment, it would be very easy to separate the layers of understanding of what's going on. Not everyone has to be informed or part of, like, you literally work at a factory that makes trucks and not know that they make trucks.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like the Manhattan Project, right? There were hundreds of people working on that and they didn't know what they were doing. They only knew their own small compartmentalized portion of it. Yep.
So I think it's very realistic. And then when you look at these various programs that were being done, it's like, man, the world isn't getting friendlier. It seems to be, well, wait a minute, hold on, backing it up. Your brother had any of the same experiences?
I don't think so. I don't know. None of my brother. I mean, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I also have another brother who is a Navy SEAL, and I do still talk with him. And as far as I know, he doesn't know that he's had any of the same experiences, but we aren't biological brothers. So there is a theory that it is like bloodlines, like certain bloodlines is what they go after. Like, so what I've heard is that a lot of the people that are in these programs, and also when you kind of get into like secret space type programs, which by the way, I did have some experiences in that as well, which we haven't gotten into, but a lot of it is like families. And the reason for that is because they're specifically choosing people who have and I think we all have psychic abilities, and it is kind of what we've been talking about is like tapping into kind of this collective consciousness, but there is some aspect of that. So we all are psychic to a certain extent, but those who are, say, maybe a little bit better at using particular abilities, like, so for myself, I'm claircognizant. I'm nowhere near as smart as anybody thinks that I am. It's just the information pops into
everyone thinks you're really smart. So this is a disappointment.
Yeah,
Huge
it is a big
disappointment.
disappointment. Sorry, guys, I'm actually really, really dumb. No, I'm not really dumb, but information pops into my head all the time, and I have no idea where it came from.
We should get married at Dinosaur Petro Park.
Yeah, Petro Park. They have the Petro things. Yeah, no.
I had another baby.
Oh God, no. Oh no.
Before the
No.
twins are born.
Oh my God. No. Oh my God. No more. You already know my house is a complete zoo. 3 teenagers, 2 dogs, 2 cats. No.
What's important is to not create personal space. You don't have to resolve anything then.
Yeah.
I'm a contributing good therapist.
Good job. Nicely done.
You're welcome. Throw another cat into that mix.
Oh my God. My youngest is always angling to get another pet. I'm not sure which one. One of them is over there, and it's probably not her, because I would have heard, hey. But yeah. And so yeah, I have no idea if any of my brothers have had these experiences, even though they grew up with me. No, I have 5 brothers altogether, but my 2 oldest brothers it's a weird dysfunctional family. My mom was married before she married my dad, and she had them. So we have the same mom. But they went and lived with their dad. And so I don't know. I don't think my mom has had any experience. I still have a good relationship with my mom. I don't think she's had any experiences. If she has, she's not aware of them. And I know my dad has been involved with this because I saw him there and worked with him. But I don't think he would have any conscious memory of it. And if he did, I haven't talked to him in 14
I just
years.
think it's very interesting that anyone involved with the side of the family where you had all this stuff happen, I'd be very curious who was in your life. Like, you might not be able to remember, but have you looked into who was in your life during those periods that you didn't remember besides your stepmom?
I mean, it's very possible because we moved around all the time, right?
Right. It helps avoid contact and timelines. But
yeah.
I'm wondering if there's anyone that do you know of someone who your dad co-worked with that you would have considered that's Uncle so-and-so, but not really your uncle, but like someone who knew your dad through the career and was like, I lived with you guys. I was on the same base 10 years ago or 20, like over the course of your childhood. I'm wondering if there's people that could help fill in the blanks for where you were and what was maybe going on in those periods you weren't remembering.
Maybe, but I don't remember the periods, so I don't remember the people that were there.
Oh, but like from 6 to 12, it would be like, who knew your dad in that time range? Or
I have no idea.
Right. And of your siblings or extended family, would there be someone that could tell you?
Probably not, because we didn't live near any of them. So they wasn't. We're all scattered everywhere. I mean, that side of the family is very disjointed in many different ways.
So it's easy to hide things. But I'm wondering, what about your anyone else associated with your dad that would be part of that recall for you, maybe?
No one that I can think of. I mean, I didn't really know, I remember them like having friends and having like dinner parties and stuff, but nobody that I knew or that I can think of that I knew. So it's possible, but if there is, I don't remember them. And that's one of the biggest issues with this is there are those memory blocks put in place. And so things come back very, very fragmented, and it's difficult.
Well, Evil's stepmom must have had a sister. They must not have gotten along. She had to have had a sister.
She has a sister who's actually really, really sweet. And it's funny because here's another thing that stood out to me too. So her mom, who I called my grandma, because they got my dad and my stepmom got married when I was like about 5. So I grew up with my stepmom, not my real mom. And because we were moving around everywhere, I only saw my real mom like 6 weeks in the summer every year. That was pretty much it. Because we lived in Saudi Arabia for 6 years too. So that is, a big portion of my childhood. But my stepmom's mom, my grandma, I loved her, like one of the sweetest people you will ever meet. And I remember her saying to me when I was a teenager, she was like, Donna had like gone off, my stepmom had gone off about something. And she was like, my grandma was like, I don't know why she's gotten like this. She used to never be like this. I don't know what happened to her. And I was just kind of like, I don't know, because this is how she's always been with me. So I have no idea. Ex
machina is what happened. But what about, this is the manifestation great grandma?
No. This is my stepmom's mom.
Okay.
Great grandma had died when I was 2.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. two overlaps.
Yeah,
right.
sorry.
No, I'm trying to piece together. There's got to be an unexpected connective, like a sister like this, that would be able to tell you where you were between, like whenever the window was where, stepmom was around.
Yeah. I mean, I know where I was. I know like the places we lived, but nobody lived near us. Like her sister lived in Arizona, and we never lived in Arizona. The closest we got was Utah, but I was already in like junior high school at that point.
They may have spilled the beans, like may have said something like, "Oh yeah, we took her to, or maybe we've been out of country for, or you know what I mean?" There could be some like leads at least.
Maybe, but that's assuming she remembers too.
You know what? Look, the Mystery Machine and Daphne and Scooby are all driving. We just got to make the phone call.
I'm sorry. No, I love this. I love where you're going because I've never thought about it from that perspective before, but it gets complicated because nobody freaking remembers. Everybody's fragmented at best, and that's what makes it difficult.
Right. Because if you were somewhere, then you had teachers. If you had teachers, if they were on a base, then there's a record of those teachers and when. And the thing is that we're in a time zone, even though we're so young, where a lot of it, there aren't anything but physical photos. Yes. So that is a problem for our past. There is a lot of non-digital photography.
Yeah.
So that is a problem.
Yeah.
But whether it's wedding photos, that's not a bad idea, but there's got to be group class photos. There's got to be, you may not have bought one, but there's got to be other kids in the classes you were with. There might be so I've mentioned this for people listening, genetic memory. What I'm referring to are studies that have shown that we've been able to identify that we're able to pass memories down from relative to relative. So other people's memories that you might identify as instincts at first, or actual individual memories of prior living human beings. There's those. Then there's the idea of imprinting even further back as a storage, as a hard drive, the possibility that we're storing other people as backups. And then there's a collective human consciousness, not just theoretical, but there's science behind the idea of collective consciousness, and whether or not that contains all the living memories or entity of humanity in a lucid state of, I don't know, metaphysical blob. Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, but here we are with living, connecting people who may have only, for whatever reason, in the most bizarre, non-direct linear, solve it in a 2-hour movie or 1-hour episode of something way. I'm wondering if, oh yeah, my sister said you had gone to this or that. And I'm wondering, since you have very unique recall abilities, I'm just very curious, and given your general state, I'm wondering what you would, what would get triggered. And it might even be something, it's like, I don't recall, you may not recall any childhood. 6 to 12 is a long time for, there were class photos.
No, yeah, I have them. I still have, like, because I remember when we were in Saudi Arabia, we got like yearly yearbooks. I still have some of them.
Like, they look like that?
No.
Oh, just asking.
No. As a kid. No.
Yeah.
Not until you like just a little.
I didn't know who was in my class at all, Jared. Thanks.
No. As girls, you don't have to cover up until you reach puberty. Then you have to start covering up. So before then, you don't. I mean, like, you have to have like down to your wrists and like ankles, but you don't have to cover your face up or anything, and don't have to wear like the abaya, which is the black part that goes over.
This is why we're doing our show now almost naked.
That's right. It actually kind of looks like it, doesn't it? I can see my little picture.
And then there's nothing but plants and stuff above you. And for everyone, yes, I'm not in my normal office. I am, since I am in Texas, I have these wonderful blinds behind me, like I'm about to sell you infomercial crap.
The vertical blinds, they're nice. I like them.
So Javier is talking about maybe evidence of blood packs.
I don't get into all of that. Like, I mean, I know that there are, and I don't know much about it. And I have talked with both Samantha Mowat and Amisha Johnston about this, about kind of, there's a lot of people that talk about these like satanic rituals and stuff. And it's not, I mean, there could be blood packs. I don't know, but nothing. I don't have anything along those lines that I remember of.
Yeah, there are a lot of there. It's very, unfortunately, blunt, brute force. I think one of the things to me is that these projects and these attempts at figuring out humanity are still being done at such a medieval, primitive level.
Yeah.
To me, it's just very brute force still. It doesn't seem very smart. And that's the problem with being 10 to 15% conscious, but give people access to very advanced equipment that they've invented, but they don't understand. They don't have the morals, ethics, or total collective human. I think I don't think they have the integrity, in short, to manage some of these ideas. They're like, they're just playing with fire. Like, let's make a giant super collider and see if we can make dark matter. Maybe we shouldn't.
Right. Let's think about the ramifications of that one first.
Why don't just a couple safety protocols?
Yeah. Let's maybe not make a black hole.
Yeah. How about we do it on the other side of the universe? How about we study the ones that are far away and go, oh, it looks like theoretically could turn into reality, and we don't want to flush the planet down the toilet.
Right. Let's start there. Instead, we're like, nah, we'll just make a little tiny one here. It's fine. It's
just
fine.
wafer thin. I mean, it's not
it's tiny.
Yeah. It's small, big things, tiny packages, dinosaur bone crystal rings.
We've got it all under control.
Yep. So do you think when you look at those petroglyphs and you stare long enough, you see a sailboat?
I don't. What is that? Another joke that I don't know about?
No, I
don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah. So the questions you must have still for Dad, or no? I mean, do you think you want to straight up? I mean, this has to be a question right now. I mean, well, this episode, I have to ask.
Yeah.
Don't you just want to ask him?
No, because I'm pretty sure he won't remember. Based on the state that, because my brother that I do talk to, based on the state that he tells me he's in, he won't remember anything.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, it is, but it is, but it isn't. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like, I know that I have the memories still in my head, even if they're blocked, they're still there. So it's a matter of figuring out how to access them. And that's where I'm like focusing on.
All right. And then is there anything that's coming up? And even recently, there's nothing from your brother.
No, he doesn't remember anything. Or if he does, I mean, like I said, he's still actively a Navy SEAL, so he probably wouldn't tell me anyways. If he did know anything or remember anything, he probably wouldn't say anything. But no, he has no, like, no, he just is kind of like I don't even think I've told him this whole story. I don't think I have.
No, it's just us and a full party.
Yeah, whoever. Yeah.
And forevermore, whoever wants to.
It's already out there. So, it is what it is. So I figure if they see it, maybe if trigger something, maybe then they will contact me. I don't know. Or maybe they never will. And I'm actually okay with that too. So I don't know.
Have you ever lost time? Or I know that it came up here, but so is there anything that's happened to you in the last few years where you've lost months, weeks, hours?
No, I haven't. I know that I do still have encounters, and I guess I don't know if you would call them my lab, I guess, but I do still, like, I had one recently in February that I remember, where I had and plenty of the people have probably heard this already, but it was, again, like, I remember a lot of them as dreams, as do a lot of experiencers, but this one was a very lucid dream. I knew I was dreaming. I was very aware that I was dreaming, and there was this creepy dude right behind me, and, like, again, in my physical space, he leans into my ear and he started humming this weird creepy tune, right? And then he kind of walked around behind my head, came over to my other ear, humming the whole time. And as he's doing this, my breathing was getting really, like, short, jagged breaths. I was having a hard time breathing. But then I realized my physical body was actually doing it too. And I was just kind of like putting the connection together that this guy is doing this. And so I was just like, nope. And I woke myself up. And I just kind of was like, like when I woke up, I was like, oh my God, that was really weird. Right. And it was about 3 a.m. And then I was like, okay, and just went right back to sleep. And then the next morning when I woke up, I had a puncture mark. It looked like an IV. And I used to work at the hospital. Like I said, the humming guy, this is so creepy. I know, Enzo. So I woke up and, so like I told you guys, I used to work on a cardiac unit, and part of that was drawing blood and doing EKGs. I had what looked like an IV puncture mark in my wrist. And
I was
there
going to
was
say not from fangs.
No, it was an IV. It was a puncture mark, and there was a small lump that's actually still there to this day. It's like in the vein. I don't know what it is. And then I had this weird like bruise on the bottom of my foot too. So,
is it magnetic?
I don't think so. I don't know. It's soft, like you can move it around. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably not because of the lighting. It's right there. I don't know. It's hard to see where it's at. It's like right in the wrist area, so it's hard to see. I have a picture where you can see it, but
interesting.
Never went away. That was in February, so that was
that's
3 months ago.
Oh wait, well now I'm seeing it on the replay. Yes, I can see it.
Oh, okay.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay. That
there's more too, but we can always get into the reptilians another time.
So yeah, that's a good place to leave as we're going through round one of us doing this. What do you think so far?
It's fun.
Anyone?
Yeah, right. What do you guys think? I've had fun. I always have fun talking to you.
Yeah, which I do too. I think this is exactly where we were going. I mean, as far as for my talking about cold open, holy cow. Sorry about that.
I warned you. It was a lot.
It was so weird. Everything was set up and fine, and then
that.
But yeah, well, let's tell everybody we are going to be doing this. We're going to be doing this on both platforms.
Yep.
Do you want to I don't know, do we host it on yours next time, or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, we could do that. We could just alternate. But then are we gonna, I think we talked about uploading it. So like it would be available on both platforms. It would just be live, right? On one platform at a time. Yep.
So so for everyone watching, we want you involved on the game plan. So don't check out just this second yet. We're not saying goodbye yet, but what we are going to do is we'll have a regular schedule. We'll get this out for everyone to have on both platforms. And so it'll be available on my YouTube and Rockfin. And do you have, what else do you have it on? And I have not.
I upload it all. It's on Anchor FM, Amazon Music, iTunes, Spotify. But yeah, usually YouTube. And then I'm going to be better about getting it on the other platforms.
You heard her.
Like you guys can hold me to it.
Yeah.
And yes, Dave, I will get a magnet and check it and see if there anything weird happens with the wrist.
Just saying.
If it pops out, I'm blaming you, Dave.
Dave, I love that you took the displacement from my idea. It's
right.
Dave's fault. Focus your MKUltra rage on Dave. That's
right, Dave. Got my eyes on you, man.
That is a fully clear thinking therapist who has identified the culprit, which was Dave.
That's right. Yep.
I don't know. It's their entire podcast turned into a handler situation. Sick Dave. That's Dave. I used to have something in my wrist. Now it's not in my wrist.
No, it's not there.
The next section will be played by Lynn in the theme of Moonstruck with Nicolas Cage.
You know how many people say you look like Nicolas Cage? I'm sure they must tell you that too. Every time you're on my show, I always see people like, is that Nicolas Cage? And I'm like, yes, it is. Yes. It is.
And yes, I go out looking for ancient megalithic high technology and history. And
true. It's true. He is, in fact, Jared is a national treasure.
What? Oh,
see what I did there?
You were MKUltra good.
No.
Like top of the Delta Magna Carta chain. That's a new level that we just invented.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a real thing.
If anyone deserves a dinosaur park wedding with petroglyphs, it's you.
Thank you. I think so too.
and then capstoning it with a UFO conference, which is which one?
Right?
What's it called?
The UFO Disclosure Symposium in Vernal.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't going on a clandestine conference,
I know.
I would be all over seeing that petroglyph dino wedding.
Right? I know. I'm very bummed, but I think what you're going to sounds interesting, and I won't say anything more.
Oh, thanks. And well, I did that lecture at America's Stonehenge. I love Dennis Stone. Michael and I from Dark Hour have been planning to go to a number of Neolithic and primitive probably pre-Clovis sites that are actually all up in your area.
Awesome.
My good friend Jen Deo, the archaeologist, moved out kind of your direction also.
Oh, did she? That's awesome.
She did. But I feel like that is coming here, folks, this summer. We will be likely not only doing this, what are we planning, weekly?
Yeah. I think so. I just decided. Yes, we are.
Yeah, I think it's been 15 minutes going on barely 3 hours almost. Okay.
Right.
So
well, we'll get better about talking. We will, people. It'll get better. Like we'll be able to like talk more, open up.
A lot less awkward moments.
Yeah.
We have nothing to say ever. So
no.
Here we are, just barely functioning.
Right.
This pod. Yeah.
High.
So this has been great. I want to thank everybody who's joined in. Obviously, you're on Not Aliens. And of course, there's notaliens.com. The new book is coming. Thank you for being patient. I know a lot of people are starting to scream about it. Yes, it's going to be in color. There'll be a digital copy. There's going to be an inclusive read. So I will be doing an audio version. Feel free to sign up for the site for Not Aliens. But otherwise, we will see you next week. Mm-hmm. I think we're planning on Wednesday again, right? Or Thursday. What are we on? No, you're leaving Thursday.
No, I'm leaving Thursday. Let me double check. Did we figure out one?
I think we were. Oh, we are so sorry. We've had such a good time live. Here's the feedback. We want to keep it a live show, but because she's leaving next week, I think we did talk about doing this pre-recorded.
Right.
Next
but
week.
I could do Thursday. I could do Wednesday if you can do. I could do Wednesday, but yes, we'll figure it out. It'll either be Wednesday or pre-recorded.
Angie's made a good point. Please remember to subscribe to both of our channels.
Yes.
And one more time, where's your channel?
Rebellious Ufology.
Yeah, make
on
it happen.
YouTube.
MKUltra fans.
Yep, it's on YouTube. It's on Twitch. It's on Amazon Music, I think, iTunes, Spotify.
On gaming. Oh, wait, on Twitch, do we get to watch you play Call of Duty or something?
No, but that would be really awesome.
I mean, if you're going to be MK,
I think I'd be.
Yeah,
I think I'd be good at it. I think I would.
I don't doubt it, Colonel Daughter.
Colonel Daughter.
It's Colonel Daughter. So I am going to. Boy, I don't know if I can end the live stream. Oh yes, I can.